suspect it's going to be a very, 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 very long show for the Gamecock fans out there at ESPN Upstate Nation. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Good to be with you. Don't call them the Carolina Panthers. Call them the collapsed Panthers. Things went poorly for them. Rivalry week was nuts. Ohio State University might be done. We're going to check in with the great one who returns to us after a week off on vacation, and more. We are going to be slammed up busy today. Before we do any of that, let us return. Triumphant is he. Sound the trumpets, wave the banners. The great one has returned to his rightful place in the air chair. Lonzo back. What up, fella?
I think that triumphant word was just a dig, but that's fine because it's anything but that on the football field for me, but that's fine.
Yeah, you didn't have a good go of it this weekend, did you?
You know what? I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm back at work. I'm getting to look at the wonderfully tailored beard and outfit that Rob Brown is sporting today. Look at that. Brown
Customized,
number
baby.
3.
Customized, baby.
That thing is beautiful. And you know what? You can see it too if you go to ESPN Upstate and check out the Facebook page because we are live.
The home jersey of my Pensacola Blue Wahoos being broken out today.
No way you've worn that a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. This when I threw out a first pitch for the Blue Wahoos, this is what I wore.
That is almost spotless.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that it's not. I'm not saying that you're slobbish or anything, but
no, it's very rare this way. This is why I don't buy white jerseys. I don't buy white jerseys. None of my jerseys for any of my teams are white because I wreck them all frequently. So it's a special occasion. Your boys is I'm giving myself. I got like new leaf time, like some days you just go to bed and you're like, you know what? I'm turning over a new leaf tomorrow. I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm making my life better. I'm starting tomorrow. It's going to last for a day, but I'm going to do it at least tomorrow. Set the alarm and got out of bed at 7:30 this morning. Actually had a real breakfast. Decided I'm going to eat healthy today. So I wore the white jersey because if I wear the white jersey, Lonzo, it'll be like, no, dude, stay away from anything with ketchup on it because you'll ruin the custom. You can't do that.
I have to say, as I pulled up, I was a little bit early this morning too, because being on vacation, I got a lot of catching up to do. And there is Rob Brown. I see him come around the corner. What is he doing here?
Yeah.
He's never here when I get here, and pulled in and said good morning and everything. It's like, okay, what happened?
I was even pleasant about it.
Yeah. What happened while I was gone?
We have got a ton of things to talk about. We have got, in fact, you know what? Let's just get into the lunch breakdown. Let's just start the show.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with a friends, family, coworker, the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table today. These are the sports items that you need to know about before you start chatting with the amigos during your lunch break. We start with item number 1. 2 big coaching hires happening in the world of college football over the Thanksgiving break. It started when Louisiana's Billy Napier has accepted the position for the Florida Gators. The former Raging Cajuns head coach led that team to their best stretch in program history, and Florida announced Sunday that Billy Napier will be the program's next head coach. He was a leading candidate for the position after Florida removed Dan Mullen, fired back on November 21st following an OT loss to Missouri. Napier said, quote, "We are humbled and honored to accept this incredible opportunity to be the head football coach at the University of Florida. Our team, staff, and entire organization will work daily to establish a program with integrity and class that we can all be proud of. More importantly, we will build a culture that is centered around making an impact on our players as people, as students, and on the field," end quote.
All right. I got to interrupt for a sec. Is he a monarchy? We are humbled.
We are humbled
to accept the head coach. No, only you are, unless you are.
I think he meant his family.
That's not how he said it. So he's setting himself up as king already.
Lonzo is anti-family, you guys. You heard it here first.
That's not true. But you know what I am? Believe it or not, poor grammar or saying things wrong. Even though I speak well, I don't expect other people to speak as bad as I do, and that was not worded really well. Unless
as poorly as we do.
Yeah, whatever. Unless he did before. You know, some people or teams peak and they'll never get there again. Florida's never getting there again. They might as well enjoy and their decline to the bottom because they can't keep a coach. They can't. They get fans that they build them all. Oh, we're back. It's kind of like Miami. We're back. Or Tennessee. We're back. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're always going to be looking up at Georgia and Alabama, sometimes Auburn, but it's never going to be you again. But enjoy your new coach.
My. What a take. He's been canning it up for a week, ladies and gentlemen. For a week, Lonzo's been dwelling on this. The other big hire that we know of is Lincoln Riley will be leaving the Boomer Sooners and headed from Oklahoma out to sunny Southern California. Well, he will be the next man in charge of the program at South Carolina just days after he very boldly said, I will not leave the University of Oklahoma to coach LSU. He then leaves the University of Oklahoma to coach USC instead.
Truthful.
He didn't lie.
Very truthful. Yes.
Technically
absolutely.
Correct is the best kind of correct, ladies and gentlemen. And he was technically telling the truth. He did not leave Oklahoma to be the next coach at LSU. Instead, he will be at USC. And I find this one interesting because I think amongst the hires that we have seen so far, this one is the biggest one that can be called a home run hire. But it also means that he is going to have far less in the way of slack. He is not going to have a lot of margin for error. The USC Trojans expect him to be great. Now, what does that mean for the rest of college football? What does it mean for the rest of the teams that are looking for new coaches? Billy Napier was considered one of the big up-and-coming names. Lincoln Riley was considered as one of the big established names. Where does that leave the rest of college football? We're going to break that down later on in the show. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Ladies and gentlemen, what a weekend in college football, rivalry weekend provided us with. Not only did Jim Harbaugh finally get the Wolverine off his back and beat Ohio State University, but Michigan will now play in a Big Ten title game in the process. And all of the sudden, the Wolverines may very well make their first appearance in the college football playoff rankings tomorrow. I love you tomorrow, when they are released only a day away. Alabama. How about Alabama being held scoreless for 3 quarters by the same Auburn Tiger football team that lost to South Carolina just a week ago? They needed some last-minute heroics and 4 overtimes to escape the Iron Bowl. Oklahoma State lost 6 consecutive meetings against the Oklahoma Sooners, but Caleb Williams was sacked 6 times, and the Cowboys win 37-33. Now, the regular season is not over yet. Is over. We have Army Navy, and we've got conference championship games left to be played. It is wild. Alabama, 58 minutes and 25 seconds, looked like an absolute mess. And then Bryce Young decided, hey, my Heisman hopes are circling the drain. I better put something together. So what'd he do? He figured out a way to get it to Brian Robinson Jr. Touchdown Bama, a $135, the game-tying touchdown, 24 seconds left to play. They win the game in the 4th overtime on a 2-point conversion.
You know, I was on the air and I'm thinking, yes, Bama's going to lose. The chaos is going to happen. What will the top 4 look like with Ohio State going down earlier? If Alabama also loses, and then next thing you know, I look up and there's a touchdown. There's a wait. They're going to score. It's going to go to overtime. What What happened, Auburn? You had it. What happened? I guess whatever happened to you all season long happened to you Saturday.
Just fell apart late. At this point. We also saw, as mentioned, Ohio State goes down to Michigan in a game that wasn't even particularly close. I mean, it's one thing for Alabama to be in an Iron Bowl rivalry that is close and literally comes down to the wire. Ohio State, Michigan, on the other hand, not so much. 27-42 is your final as the Michigan Wolverines. We went into halftime 13-14 in favor of the maize and blue, but a pair of touchdowns in the third widened the gap. Ohio State put up 2 more in the fourth, but Michigan did as well. And I don't know if we were going to call it a rout, but pretty much in this rivalry it is. Harbaugh has been unable to beat Michigan or Ohio State until he did, and now a 2-loss Buckeyes team is effectively out of the playoffs.
Now, that's not a rout. We'll be talking about a game later that was a rout. This was not a rout. The game was pretty close for a good portion of it. And am I upset about the Buckeyes losing? Yes. And did several people call me during the game and I had to tell them stop? Yes, including work. Leave me alone. Let me watch it. I'm in pain now. Let me deal with it. Once it's over, I'll be good. And about an hour later, I'm good. Because I can also step out of this and look at a couple things. For one, the defense, not good. Haven't been that good all year long. When after the first or second game, the head coach has to move pieces around in your defensive coaching, then the defense is not where it needs to be. So the fact that they couldn't stop them, not that big of a surprise. Also, this is proof that college football is back for a couple of reasons. One, it's not a true rivalry if the other team doesn't win on occasion. They hadn't won. They've won like one in like the last 16 or 17 years. It's not a rivalry anymore. So whether I like the fact that Michigan won or not, I do like the fact that the rivalry is back. That's what makes it special. And the other thing is football is back. Why? You may not have seen this in other stadiums, but the home crowd made a difference in this game. A ton of penalties by Ohio State because they could not hear the cadence. And some of these kids hadn't played in front of a crowd like this ever. And this is the first time they played in front of a true hostile crowd up in that team up north. And that just shows that football is back after the COVID year and what we had to deal with there. Seeing what a real college football crowd was like, that was amazing, even though it hurt my team. And the thing is, if this was played at Ohio State, I think it might have been a different outcome because I think the crowd made that much of a difference. But hats off to that team up north. They won the game. Ohio State did not. 10-2 season. It's a failure, but we got next year.
We are going to talk about that game deeper as well. Same with Alabama and Auburn, but it's because we need to leave room for item number 3. And as it always is on Monday, it is our Palmetto State football wrap-up. And we start with an absolute, speaking of collapses, the Carolina Panthers. What in the actual bleep were you guys doing on Sunday? I thought that this game was a must-win for the Carolina Panthers. If they wanted a chance to make it into the playoffs, they had to have this one because the stretch from here to the end is not pretty. You got 2 against Tampa Bay. You got 1 against Buffalo. You've got 1 against New Orleans, which if you played this week would be great. 14 of 22 starters did not play for the Saints against the Bills on Thursday, and they got routed by Buffalo. You'd expect that by the time that these two teams get together in week, 17, the Saints will be a little bit back to normal, and that game becomes much more interesting if the Saints can figure out their quarterback problem. But how about this stat line from Cam Newton? 5 of 21 for 92 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a QBR, Lonzo, of 5.4, a QB rating of 5.8. Pretty sure you get a QB rating of 10 just from successfully putting your cleats on the correct feet.
This is where we jump in and go, I could get a better QB rating than that.
I mean, I don't know if I could go 5 of 21 in an NFL game, but I don't feel like I'd go much worse, you know?
Well, I'll just be doing pop passes. I can do better than that. That's basically a handoff.
I'd throw it 40 yards down the field towards Robbie Anderson for better of 5 of 21. Cam looked awful. McCaffrey gets hurt again, leaves the game, played just one snap in the second half, was seen in a walking boot when it was all said and done. 10 carries, 35 yards for the young man. Sean Chandler, 1 for 14. That is not good. Chuba Hubbard, 2 carries for 6 yards. Cam Newton, 3 for 5. Amir Abdullah, 2 for 4. DJ Moore, the only guy on the stat line that had an okay day, 4 snags for 103 yards, but one of those was a 64-yard breakaway. Brandon Zylstra, the tight end, 1 catch, 24 yards. Amir Abdullah, 2 for 20. Robbie Anderson, you know, the guy blowing up on the sideline, expecting things to be better, expecting his team to perform. 1 catch, 15 yards for Robbie Anderson. Not a great day. On the flip side, Tua Tagovailoa, you know, the guy with the busted finger that 4 weeks ago we were talking about, should he lose his job? 27 of 31, 230 yards, 1 touchdown on the day.
Has been said by many coaches that Miami defense, though, you got to look out for them. And they played pretty good yesterday. And how many games in a row has Miami won now? Like 4 or 5?
They're 5-7, 3-3 at home.
Yeah, so look out for Miami because they're back in the hunt to get in the playoffs. And it was a horrible, horrible game by the Panthers, but a really good game by Miami too. And you hate to see that. Which one was the result of the other, or is it a combination?
The Miami Dolphins opened the year with a 17-16 win over the Patriots. But 2 things. A, week 1, we all know week 1 is kind of a weird week. Number 2, the Patriots have gotten better as the season progressed. Then they lost to the Bills, the Raiders, the Colts, the Bucks, the Jags, the Falcons, and the Bills consecutively. 1-7 to start the year. Since then, they have won 4 in a row. It was at the Bills. Not a bad win. That's a good win. They lost to the Bills. Not a bad loss. They beat the Texans. Ugly. They beat the Ravens, who had a rash of injuries in that game. And they won at the Jets, which is not impressive. I'm fine with giving Miami credit for reeling off 4 because that's tough in the NFL. But again, I'm going to do the same thing with the Dolphins.
So they're beating a bunch of sorry teams, including the Panthers.
Correct. I'm going to do the same thing to the Dolphins that I did to the Panthers at the beginning of the season. I'm not impressed by those 4 in a row, okay? I'm not impressed by those 4 in a row. The Texans suck. The Ravens they're a good team, but they were banged up something bad in that game. The Jets suck. And I don't want to say the Panthers suck, but I'm going back and I'm looking at that game yesterday. Go ahead, Lonzo. Tell me one good thing about the Panthers yesterday. Just name one thing they did well. The special teams gave up the first 7, sucked. The offense had nothing, sucked. The defense allowed Tua Tagovailoa to look like a damn Pro Bowler, sucked.
The 3 or 4 plays that Christian McCaffrey was in, he looked really good.
Great. And then what happened to him?
You asked me to give you a positive.
Yeah.
I'm giving you that's my positive.
Yeah. Then what happened? He left the game hurt.
You know what happened? There's proof that this team relies way too much on one player. And when that one player goes down, they just fall completely apart. And you can say that's not it, but when he plays well, the team plays well. When he's not playing, they don't play well.
I mean, yes, you're not wrong, but 5 of 21 for 92 yards and 2 interceptions is not Christian McCaffrey.
Would you have pulled the plug on Cam quicker?
No, I'd like to pull the plug on that entire offensive line. Can you fire the entire offensive line in one day? That is the hottest of hot garbage.
I bet. I mean, it's a job. You could,
and they're not good at it.
But you also have to replace them. So that's the best you can find right now.
Let's go get Wofford's offensive line. At least they try. Come on, My goodness. I've already got texts coming in. People beating up on Cam. Oh, it's Cam. It's Cam. And I agree. He sucked yesterday. All right, let's not pretend like Cam is the savior here. But I got to tell you, I think you could stick Tom Brady and Drew Brees' love child at quarterback behind that offensive line, and he would be terrible. All right? That's embarrassing. Embarrassing.
Just wondering what kind of throwing arm that combination would actually have.
I'm assuming a good one for the sake of my hypothetical situation. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I have got more breakdown, including, obviously, the Palmetto Bowl, which did not go well for South Carolina, like at all. What went wrong? I got to tell you guys, you know I'm big on avoiding the cliches. There's one big one that I'm hammering. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Zoe, back from vacation. We are whole again on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. All right, what we got in the chat over here? Why did the chicken cross the road? Because it was easier than crossing the goal line. Got him.
Doesn't even deserve a rim shot because it's kind of old, but
Slapping down family men, slapping down jokes from listeners.
I
He's
have
ornery.
just begun.
One for one.
Tis the season. Season for what? Saying tis? Well, yeah. And for the Upstate Holiday Light Show. Where's that? At Greenville Pickens Speedway. We're talking millions of incredible lights that hits lights.
So obviously you didn't watch the Beatles thing yet, and you really should. You'll enjoy it.
Courtney and I are watching it, and there's another documentary on Netflix called
Well, you figured that out. Did you watch Hawkeye?
No, it's not tonight. It's called Echo in the Canyon. It is about In Southern California, there was a point in time where Tom Petty, Brian Wilson, Ringo Starr, Eric Clapton, and a bunch of other Jackson Brown, the Eagles were all in one neighborhood together, and they were basically all working on music together.
Cool.
And it's a documentary about that summer. I haven't watched it yet, but there was a guy the other day telling me about it, and he was like, dude, you have to watch it if you're a music guy.
Surgeries, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients are raving about it. For hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief, don't let them keep giving you steroids, and don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
Also, Raw is coming January 3rd.
Here?
Yes.
We're in. I haven't watched Raw in probably 6
You
weeks.
have to show me how to do that ticket request thing because I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, we'll do it.
But yeah, I need to do that. So
We both need to put in for 2. Courtney will go with me. I've got to give a prop and I got to get a dig. All right. South Carolina fans, you guys got asked to show up and show out on Saturday, and you did. Willie B was popping. I got there about 1 in the afternoon. We set up at the fairgrounds. We tailgated through the day. Walking into that stadium, it was electric. When Space Odyssey played, it was electric. When Sandstorm dropped, it was electric. There was no point where the decimal meter wasn't pinged. It was one of the most electric college football atmospheres that I have been to in many moons, and I have been to a lot of them. I have been to a lot of them. But y'all, you showed up, and the football team did not. South Carolina just didn't show up. And I got to give, before I go down this direction, all right? Before I go down this direction, before I get the inevitable dirt tossed at me, Clemson fans, your football team looked great. You probably should have figured out 10 weeks ago, hey, you're a running team this year. Give it to Kobe Pace. Let the big boys eat. Smash rock the football. Go get 265 rushing yards a game and win. Clemson did everything right, all right? Me banging on South Carolina, which I'm about to do, is not taking away from what Clemson did, because that team looked really good, okay? That team looked really good. But South Carolina, the hell was that? What was that? Explain that to me. Explain how you guys just did not show up. Shane Beamer spent a week telling Gamecocks fans, fill out Willie B. They did. Sell out the house. They did. Bring the noise. They did. Pump up the just get excited. And they did. Get everything going, and they did. And then South Carolina just didn't show up. It just didn't show up. There was no facet of the game in which South Carolina looked good. None. Offensively, they were inept. They were scared. They were lost. They were rudderless. You get the best player in the field. And Josh Vann, how many times did you target him? Twice. 1 reception, I think. Run game was nothing. Was absolutely nothing. Was non-existent. You were getting pummeled at the line, pummeled behind the line. Josh Vann had 4 catches for 38, by the way. Let me be clear about that. 4 for 38. Gene Bell had 4 for 24. Zaquandre Wright, 7 carries, 22 yards. Kevin Harris, 8 carries, 13 yards, 43 total yards of rushing for the Gamecocks. Somebody explain to me how it was that Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks asked for Willie B to be the most electric it has probably been in years. It was, and then they just didn't show up.
You know what's funny? After the game and during the game is all the Clemson fans talking all the stuff that they're talking. And they're all excited. Wait. I need some musical accompaniment while I'm talking about Clemson. I haven't done this in a while, but I have to do this. So I just want to address Clemson fans as the Gamecock fan in the room. So you're excited that you defeated this team by that much. This makes you so happy that you defeated a team who has no quarterback. They've had like 3 or 4 quarterbacks the entire year. A team that, when this Beamer took over, the cupboard was beyond bare. I mean, you had to borrow things to make it bare. It was so beyond bare. You're excited about this win. My question for Clemson fans is, what you doing next Saturday? Because, I hear you've got some open time next Saturday. So this was your game. This should be just a footnote in your season as you head back to the national. Wait. Oh, that's right. You're not going. You're Well, you enjoy that. You enjoy that, Clemson fans. You talk all your stuff. You send all your texts. You send all your emails. You're free to call and talk about how great your team is. That makes you feel good. Good for you.
I'm not gonna bag on Clemson. They came out. They did what they needed to do. They came out against an inferior opponent. They came out against an opponent that was outgunned, and they shot him. They came out against an opponent that didn't have the firepower, and they just battered them. And for the record, let's make this part clear. I have zero problems with South Carolina. I have zero problems with South Carolina losing this football game. The reality is, you were underdogs. You were underdogs against Florida for a reason. You won the game. That's great. You were underdogs against Auburn for a reason. You won the game. That's great. You were underdogs in this game. You were underdogs for a reason. You were underdogs because South Carolina just does not have the dogs that Clemson has. It's real simple. If we go position by position from the top of the roster to the bottom, South Carolina just does not have the talent Clemson has right now.
How many players on South Carolina's team could actually play on Clemson's team?
A few.
Not many.
A few.
Not many.
You just don't have the dogs they have. A loss is fine. A loss isn't the end of the world. As a texter just pointed out, at the beginning of the season, we said, what do we consider a realistic goal for success for the Gamecocks? And it was almost universal that going 6-6 and making a bowl game would make this a successful season. And what did South Carolina do? With a first-year head coach, with a COVID-restricted offseason, they went 6-6 and made a bowl game. I am not upset about the season that the Gamecocks had. They met what we asked them to meet to be successful. 500 in a bowl game, and they did exactly that. That's a step down a long path towards being there. That's all well and good. The problem isn't the L. The problem is that this team came out with no fight, with no aggression, with no tenacity, instead of realizing, hey, an L is okay, but let's go give it what we got. And if we take an L to a superior team, so be it. Instead, the Gamecocks played like the L was inevitable. The Gamecocks played like an L was foretold, like it was destiny. They played like no matter what they did, if we play the game of our lives, we're still going to lose, so why try? There was a lack of heart, there was a lack of effort, and it was easy to see. From section 21, row 14, seat 23, where I was. The game started with me sitting there and listening to the guy behind me repeat as if it was a mantra to inspire the Gamecocks. This is the year the streak ends. It's over. The game started with the girl 2 seats down from me on my left explaining to no one who asked what her post-game celebration was going to be. We're going out to the parking lot. We're taking shots of Fireball. We're going to celebrate ending Dabo's reign of terror.
I'm guessing she probably did that anyway.
Oh, she, along with the guy behind me and a handful of others, filed out of Willie B with about 8 minutes remaining in the game. Not because the Gamecocks were losing, but because the Gamecocks weren't trying, or at least it didn't look that way. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was the best they could do. But it wasn't the best they could do last week against Auburn when everybody told them they were going to lose and they were a 9.5-point dog. It certainly wasn't the best that they did against Florida when they were 19.5-point underdogs and sent Florida home with a big L in the bag. Shane Beamer started his post-game press conference by apologizing to the fans for the effort that they did not give on the field. And that was the only way for him to start that press conference. The only way to start that presser was by saying, I am sorry. To the 75+ thousand fans in Garnet and Black who showed up believing in this team. Maybe not that they would win, but that they absolutely could win. But the effort required to pull off the could win was not what you got. Was not what you got. Third quarter, guy behind me starting to leave, packing all his gear up. And he says, I should have just saved the money and stayed home. I should have just saved the money and stayed home. Effort like that is what inspires your fans to save the money and stay home. That's what it does. You want to know why Clemson brought in UConn and sold out Death Valley? Because even in the L's, Pittsburgh, NC State, etc., there was no point where I felt like Clemson gave up in those losses. There was no point whether I questioned whether Clemson or not was, trying. But it got to be the fourth quarter. The Gamecocks trailing by 20, and it felt to me like it's just whatever. It's just whatever. We knew we were going to lose, so what are you going to do? I hate cliches. I really do. Sometimes you can go out there and you can have all the heart and you can work like Kobe and you still lose. Despite the idealism of a lot of people, sometimes you can be the hardest worker in the room and still lose. You know where the respect comes in? The respect comes in because you're the damn hardest worker in the room. South Carolina loses that game, but they bust it I respect that. Are there any Gamecocks fans out there that can point to that team in that game, the biggest game of the year for you? That was the biggest game of the year before the game started, before the season started. That was the biggest game of the year. Can any of you tell me that that was the best effort the Gamecocks had to give? Because I was in the stadium, and it was not. Take a break. We're back after this with some of your text on the Rob Brown Show and DSPN Upstate.
And then I remember why I should not wear a long sleeve shirt in this room.
It's warm in here.
Yes.
You're not wrong.
Spectrum Mobile is reinventing wireless again. Get unlimited on 2+ lines for $29.99 a month per line. No contracts, no added taxes or fees. Includes nationwide 5G. Save up to 6.
So I've made it to level 30 something without a black screen this time on Skyrim.
With the mods still on.
I still have a
Some
couple
of them?
mods, yeah. But since the ones I have haven't black screened, I'm not going back and getting any more.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the ones I have. Although I'm also playing on Legendary, which I shouldn't, because I die a lot. But it makes it more fun since I've played through the game so much. I am starting to see some of the Creation Club stuff, though, which I didn't see last couple playthroughs before I black screened.
Dwarven horse armor.
There's Dwarven horse armor?
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen Steel and Elven, but I haven't.
Pretty sure I got dwarf.
Well, you might have. I wonder if have you been to the Markarth? Maybe you get it there.
No, I've not been there yet.
Now I got to go find it. The Elven armor's pretty sweet. The only problem is, you play an hour or so, it's no longer on the horse, and I don't know what is going on with that.
I stopped using my horse primarily because every time I'd get off of him to fight, he would run away. And then I have to spend 30 minutes looking for a stupid horse.
The best use of a horse is to defy gravity and climb up a mountain. Because if you do it right, you can climb up a mountain with a horse that you can't do on foot. And the best horse is a summoned horse, like the one you get when you do Serana's story. Did you do all the way through the vampire thing when you played before?
No, I just started the vampire.
Yeah. Well, when you go, I'm not going to spoil too much, but you get a horse that you can just summon at any time.
Shadowmere. I know who he is.
No, different one. Yeah.
Okay. Texter says if the standard for celebratory drinks is Fireball, then Gamecocks fans deserve the loss.
Is that a dig? Because
Yes.
I really don't know. So.
Yes, Fireball is whiskey, but they make it with cinnamon, so it's what's the word? Gross. Keep your cinnamon out of my whiskey. All right? Whiskey's whiskey. Cinnamon's fine in like hot chocolate, sprinkled across apple pie. Not in my whiskey.
Again, I don't drink, but from what I understand, whiskey already has a kick. So what do you need cinnamon for a kick
to make it worse? To make things worse. Texter says ESPN Lonzo sounds so bitter. It's actually hilarious to talk bad about his own team to try and take Clemson fans down a notch. Another texter says ESPN Lonzo's butthurt about Ohio State, and it shows. And another texter says Lonzo is just salty because of them Buckeyes losing. End quote.
Well, let me address all you texters. If you were watching on the ESPN Upstate Facebook feed, Facebook Live, you'd see me smiling right now. It's not a fake smile. It's a genuine smile. I'm happy to be back and address what is typical of Clemson fans.
Texter says, with the year we have had, we are happy about this win. When was the last time South Carolina had to worry about a postseason other than a toilet bowl? Another texter says, ESPN, didn't we say South Carolina finishing at 6-6 was a success for them? Yeah, it's all about levity in the moment. And I guess this is what I was trying to point out. I am not upset at the loss. I bet Clemson to cover the spread. I'm going to be honest with you. I bet Clemson to cover the spread because they're a better football team right now. What I did not anticipate was South Carolina effectively laying down and rolling over and playing dead. Was that the best effort your team has? Because if it was, it's going to be a long tenure under Shane Beamer. If you can't get up for that, who was it? I think, I don't remember who. One of the other coaches in one of the other rivalry games was asked in his last press conference before the game, how do you get your guys up and ready to play for this game? And he said, if you can't get up for this game, you just need to leave. Was that the best? South Carolina fans, was that the best your team could do? Was that your best effort? And if it was not, and don't get me wrong, I have bagged the roster all season. It is, of course, Shane Beamer's first year. He came in on a short off season as it was. He came in on a short off season that was COVID restricted. He came in to take over Will Muschamp's roster. I'm going to give him 3 years to get his guys in the system and see what happens. But if you came to South Carolina, whether it was under Will Muschamp or Steve Spurrier or Lou Holtz or Shane Beamer or anybody else, if you came there and you can't get up for Clemson, when, by the way, you have played some of your best football over the past 3 weeks, granted the Mizzou loss is a toss-up. You played your best 2 football games against Florida and against Auburn. The momentum is picking up in your direction. The fans have ripped the proverbial roof off of the Willie B. And you can't get up for that? That's concerning. That's concerning. That is disappointing, man. The frustration is not the loss, guys. The loss is fine. An L in that game isn't the end of the world. I promise. The frustration comes from the fact that South Carolina had nothing. Nothing. They were getting killed at the point of attack. The throws were inconsistent and off target. Receivers were getting no separation at all. There was nothing to it. Massively disconnected. You understand? I'm not mad about the L. I figured it was going to be an L. I even figured it was going to be a 2-touchdown L. But a shutout? You can't even drive in close enough to put some threes up there? Just nothing. Defensively, Clemson is running in at around and through you. Offensively, you are getting decimated at every part of the football field. There was, and it's not for a lack of ability, because we saw against Auburn and we saw against Florida that South Carolina can do it.
By the way, at the end of the game, they could have put up a 3. I know the game's over, but they were close enough to put up a 3.
Yeah, but I respect him going for the touchdown. It was, you know what I mean? Like there's a respect.
And I'm yelling. Yeah, you don't want to be shut out. Put up the 3 points.
I looked at this the same way I looked at the Texas A&M game. Yes, what was it? 44-14. South Carolina got shut out in that game. They put up 2 touchdowns against Texas A&M's backups. A field goal against Clemson's backups. Still I'm sorry. That's still a shutout. Texter says, hey, last time I checked, Clemson is in the Upstate. You guys have a show on ESPN Upstate. So getting mad about an Upstate team being excited and contacting other fans via your show is just, what's the word, dumb. Yes, it's very dumb of us to talk about a Division I program that's located an hour and a half away and has fan bases here.
Who's upset?
That's crazy.
Who's upset? I was just baiting listeners like you. Thank you.
We talked about Clemson. We're going to talk about Clemson more in the next hour. like I said I would when I started this, by opening my South Carolina discussion by talking about Clemson.
I'm sure it's going to be completely positive about the stellar season you just had, Clemson.
Yeah. All right. This dumb show in the Upstate.
Award-winning dumb show.
This South Carolina Broadcasters Association sports talk radio show of the year in the Palmetto State. Dumb show. We'll be back after this on ESPN Upstate. Yeah, I was setting you up hoping you would take that.
I like softball.
Tuesday, sunshine high 62 degrees. Wednesday, sunny high around 64. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Buchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 48.
This is Graham County Sheriff of Fort Lewis. No upstate child should have Christmas without presents under the tree. Donated totally to Leo Sanatory Drive. Stop by the Bond Secure Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville, December the 8th and 9th. Or Greenville County Law Enforcement will be on hand accepting toys and donations. Plus, see special team demonstrations by tactical teams and our K-9 patrol unit. Help an underprivileged child this Christmas. For more information, go to leosanta.com.
Leo Santa, presented by Rabbi Nario, attorney at law, 864 All Round.
With special thanks to Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union, TLC Motors, and Harley Davidson of Greenville. Thanks from ESPN Upstate.
Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me at Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday will be at 502 Ann Street in Pickens. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate.
Tis the season. Season for what? Saying tis? Well, yeah. And for the Upstate Holiday Light Show. Where's that? At Greenville Pickens Speedway. We're talking millions of incredible lights at Hits Light Zone, 600-foot light tunnel, even a drive-through petting zoo. What? Really? Do we need tickets? Sure, but fast passes are available. Just sign up online. We went last year, and the kids have been asking when we can go back. What did you tell them? Tis not the season. But now they know, and we're going early and often. Plus, it gets the hushing of the holiday spirit, so we're not in that last-minute thing. It kickstarts our hollies and jollies. We're in. Where do I score some tickets? Just go to upstatelights.com. That's upstatelights.com. We should all go together.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is going on now at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Enjoy the magic of the season with family, neighbors, and friends. Drive through a nighttime Christmas wonderland as 32 million colors.
Any guests today?
Corey.
Do you need a new roof or think you do?
35?
My name
Yep.
is Paul Campbell, and I've been fixing and replacing roofs for over 15 years. Roofs for possible storm damage. Out and check your roof. Fair price. 4346-3121. That's 46-3121. Find me all.com. All.com.
You can win cash in the Rocket Mortgage Pro Football Pickup. Just pick the most games right this week, and you can score $1,000. Just like that. No lineups, no spreads, no rosters, and
With just one spray of Microban 24, your hard surfaces are sanitized for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch after touch.
So 6 hours from now?
Still sanitized.
12 hours?
Yep.
18 hours.
We're really doing this.
24 hours.
When used as directed, one spray of Microban keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria, touch after touch for, up to 24 hours.
Wow.
Microban 24, the sanitizer 4 out of 5 doctors would use in their own homes. So why aren't you?
Cricket Holiday Hotline, what's your wish?
Hey, I'm looking at that new phone plan, brand new phone plan right here. That's gotta go fast.
Well, Cricket has super fast nationwide 5G on all plans, just in time for the holiday.
Do we have 1G, 3G, 5G for the gentleman right here? Do we have holiday shopping, video streaming, sending, and recipe searching?
So our buddy rolls into Dallas just when a lot of people are going to be out for a while. Up to 8 positives so far
Who?
in Dallas. I was talking about Cole rolling into Dallas right when the breakout happened. Good timing.
They got the Saints this week on Thursday night, too.
Who can field an entire team? That's the question.
Want to go from bad to worse? South Carolina fans? 24/7 Sports, Brad Crawford, who I believe appears on Mark Ryan's show occasionally.
He does.
Is reporting that Oklahoma's one of their prime candidates to replace Lincoln Riley is Shane Beamer. And this seems to have a little bit more steam than the Virginia Tech rumors did. The reasoning by it would be that Beamer, who came from that area, would be one of the more viable options because, A, he would be able to talk Caleb Williams into staying as there is transfer portal talk around him. B, he's well-liked and respected around Oklahoma's locker room, and a lot of the guys on that roster came there because Beamer was there, so he would be able to keep the roster together. C, the relationships that he built during his time at OU would keep a similar outlook from a program and a recruiting standpoint. According to 24/7 Sports, Shane Beamer might very well be one of the top picks for Oklahoma, and they could pay him significantly more than South Carolina can. Beamer signed a 5-year worth $2.5 million with South Carolina. Oklahoma could double that. One of those, yeah, I love it here, but as Lonzo and I have talked about in the past, you put a couple more zeros on the paycheck and loyalty gets tested real quick. Is he potentially a candidate? We'll talk Clemson ball and that rumor when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Come on. Come on. Where are you?
Statistically, the worst performance of Cam Newton's career as the Carolina Panthers. Newton! 33-10 on Sunday. Cam, 5 of 21, 92 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was lifted for P.J. Walker in the fourth quarter, although Cam is expected to remain the starter for the Panthers moving forward. The team also losing running back Christian McCaffrey, hurt again. He rolls his ankle in the first half and did not play in the second half. Panthers are going into a bye week. They'll play again when they match up against Atlanta on December 12th. Speaking of the Falcons, they do win on Sunday against the Jaguars, 21.
Jaguars.
Download the Score app today.
Jaguars.
Sports alert, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
You have an Upstate Lights in the first break.
Okay.
So, with Raw coming, if you had to pick to interview between Riddle and Big E, who are you going with?
Easy E. I would have more fun with Riddle, but I think E would ultimately be the better.
If you could have one of them in studio, same? You still go with Big E? Okay. I'll be happy with either. I'd be very happy with both. Not at the same time, though. That might be too much.
Could you imagine that conversation?
Yeah, I can, actually.
That's why I said one.
Do we continue with that, our new promo tradition now? If we can get them to do it.
I mean, I don't know if Riddle would cut a promo on.
He would if we ask him to do it as Randy.
Randy. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, makes his triumphant return from vacation.
Some people not happy about that, but too bad.
We are the award-winning Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app. Grab that Odyssey app. Put it on your laptop, your PC, your phone, your tablet, on all your digital devices, and don't miss a minute of content here from ESPN Upstate. So we had a little bit of, I don't know, do we call it breaking news? I guess we do. A little bit of breaking news. What? You have to say words into the mic for it to work.
No, I'm mouthing. Breaking news brought to you by.
Oh yeah, no, I was scrolling down to our breaking news liner.
All right.
Brought to you by our friends.
By the way, you didn't see it, but I'm gonna self-report.
No, you had the mic on.
No. I turned.
You did.
I just now turned it off. So
1-0.
Yeah.
1-0. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL, BetQL.com, and find all the BetQL content on the Odyssey Podcast Network. Every Tuesday, Joe Giglio of BetQL joins us here at 1:30 to give us some of his favorite lines, picks, predictions for the upcoming weekend. Get better, be a better, get smarter, and beat the books with our friends at BetQL. So 24/7 sports reporter Brad Crawford, who is a no name. I mean, this is not a nobody, right? This is not Joe Schmo trying to get clicks, I don't think, is reporting that first-year South Carolina coach Shane Beamer is a potential candidate for Oklahoma's coaching vacancy, according to multiple sources. Beamer, who has led the Gamecocks to bowl eligibility, worked 3 years at Oklahoma as the Sooners' associate head coach. Lincoln Riley, of course, bolted for USC over the weekend, meaning that Oklahoma has a vacancy at that position. The early signing period is next month, so they want to get through that with a head coach in place as the team preps for their bowl game under interim coach Bob Stoops. Sources say that they believe Beamer can maintain Oklahoma's current roster. This is, again, according to Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. Can maintain Oklahoma's current roster and provide immediate coaching stability in Norman. Those are the primary reasons the Sooners would be interested. As I told you before we took the break, Beamer signed a 5-year deal worth $2.75 million per season with the Gamecocks last December, but the Sooners' job would be, and this is not a likely, this is a definite, a sizable raise from that deal. After Oklahoma made Riley one of the nation's highest paid coaches, they would likely give more than just a fraction of that to Shane Beamer or anybody else. 24/7 Sports national analyst Colin Kennedy said, quote, "If there's a hire that helps the job get done, it would probably be Beamer. If there's one that helps, Beamer would be one of the more viable options who would be able to keep Caleb Williams there. He's beloved in Oklahoma's locker room, and his name carried a ton of weight in these recruitments. Plus, the relationships he built during his time at OU would help keep a similar outlook from a program and recruiting standpoint," end quote. The Oklahoman, who is the newspaper that predominantly covers OU football, is also listing Shane Beamer as one of the candidates that they think will likely at least get a phone call. Remember, it was earlier this month when Virginia Tech let Justin Fuente go and reset their head coaching office, and there was growing speculation that Shane Beamer might be a candidate for Virginia Tech to take the office that his father used to work in. Beamer said, quote, "Obviously, I love Virginia Tech. I moved there when I was 10 years old, went to high school there, went to college there, and coached there. My parents still live there, so I have special memories of my time in Blacksburg, and that'll always be special to me. But this is where I want to be. When I said this, South Carolina was my dream job, I wasn't just saying that to make it sound cool in a press conference or to get the job. This is where my wife and I, my family want to be. We didn't put that sign up at Williams-Brice that says welcome home just because it was trending as a slogan. This is home for me. I want to be the head football coach here at South Carolina, end quote. Of course,
Spencer Rattler has announced he will leave Oklahoma and transfer elsewhere.
shocking.
How many more? So if you are, like, say, if Shane Beamer were to get the job, how bare will the cupboard be? You know what a bare cupboard is. You're living it right now. Do you go there when all these people are leaving? And would his name actually keep them there? I'm not so sure.
Well, part of the reason that Shane Beamer is being considered here is because a lot of those guys in that locker room are there partially because of Shane Beamer. Remember, he was the associate head coach when all of the guys on the roster were recruited there, including the guys that are freshmen on this roster. So you'd like to think, unless any of them were there specifically for Lincoln Riley, which I'm sure there would be. Here's the deal. Spencer Rattler was leaving, whether it was Lincoln Riley or Shane Beamer or Bill Belichick himself walking through the door. Rattler was gone because, remember, Rattler is kind of in that DJ Uiagalelei era of, my parents built this brand before I actually did anything to earn it. He showed up, and he was not good this year, to the point that Spencer Rattler got benched for Caleb Williams. And remember, the story was not Spencer Rattler gets benched for Caleb Williams. The story was student newspaper finds this out before it was announced, and the controversy between Lincoln Riley and the student newspaper. Nobody even talked about the fact that Spencer Rattler got dropped on the depth chart. They were more interested in the drama between Lincoln Riley and a student newspaper. Of course he's gone because Spencer Rattler is an ego QB who is more about the brand than actually proving himself on the field. And again, I am a player defender first 95, 96% of the time. All right? I got no problem with players building their own brand. I got no problem with players building their own brand to profit off of it, whether it's through NIL or sponsorships when they come out of college or whatever else it might be. No issue with that at all. What I do have is when you get to the point that you are more worried about the brand than what you're doing on the field. What you're doing on the field makes the brand, not the other way around. Spencer Rattler forgot that, so he's out. No shock there. Caleb Williams is a better quarterback. He proved that on the field. And Caleb Williams is partially at Oklahoma because Shane Beamer was partially the reason that he was recruited and brought there. So the good news, if Shane Beamer went, would be his quarterback's already there. Caleb Williams likely stays if Shane Beamer shows up, while that's a question mark if it's anybody else. Texter says, ESPN, how do the Gamecocks feel about potentially losing Beamer, I wonder? I don't know. So it's a gray area, right? I got to think part of you looks and you go, okay, we were a 2-10 football team last year. We sucked. Now we're 6-6 and we're in a bowl game. That's a step up. It's trending in the right direction. And the credit that I have given to Shane Beamer this year was given based on the fact, less about what's happened on the field, although that's a part of it, and more about the fact that we got South Carolina fans involved. Last football season, and Lonzo wasn't on this show last football season, so I'll speak for myself on this one. We didn't get a whole hell of a lot of Gamecock calls and texts during football season last year talking about their team. All right? We just didn't. You just weren't there.
Yeah, I arrived just after that was over. You and I have been together almost a year, by the way.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks away.
That long?
Yeah.
Time flies when you're winning awards.
Exactly.
Not a lot of Gamecock interaction last year. This year, I'm seeing the flags. I'm seeing the banners. We got texts from Gamecocks fans. We got calls from Gamecock fans. I'm going out and seeing Willie B packed 80,000 strong, most of it in garnet and black. I'm seeing all that. And you got to be excited because, as I've pointed out 100 times and will 100 more, the very first thing that a new coach has to do when he comes in is establish a culture. That's not good enough. It's not the only thing. But the foundation is the culture. And once the foundation of the culture is established, then you can build the rest of the house that makes people want to come over. Shane Beamer's doing, I think, a masterful job at building the culture.
You know, this is a story that we've already talked about, really, because a couple of weeks ago, he was rumored to be going back to where his dad used to coach.
Yep.
And we talked about how he was not going to do that. And I don't believe he was ever offered that job or even interviewed. This is different because of the level this team. I mean, Oklahoma's been in the national championship picture a bunch lately. I don't believe Beamer's, not only do I not believe he's going, I don't believe he's going to be offered.
I can absolutely see him being offered. Now, if you're Oklahoma, here's where it is. And I'm gonna put Oklahoma in the same bin that I put Virginia Tech in a few weeks back. And I'm gonna put Oklahoma in the same bin that I thought South Carolina was in before they hired Shane Beamer. Why would Oklahoma hire Shane Beamer? All of the reasons that they would hire Shane Beamer are off the field, right? Number one, they're not going to have to pay him Lincoln Riley money. Not yet. South Carolina offered him $2.75 a year for 5 years. One of those years is down, right? So you're looking at a buyout of what, $9 million, $10 million? That ain't the end of the world for Oklahoma. Also, Shane Beamer's a guy who was a part of a lot of the recruiting class. That is the entire Oklahoma roster. He was there for 3 years, worked in the position of associate head coach and offensive guru, right? You keep the roster together, but all of these things are off the field reasons. Oklahoma, being a blue chip program, being a top tier program, are they willing to take the risk? South Carolina was. But I would also argue that South Carolina had a lot less to lose than Oklahoma does if Oklahoma gets it wrong with Shane Beamer, right? If South Carolina gets it wrong with Shane Beamer, they go from what? A 2-10 football program to a 2-10 football program? If South Carolina got it wrong with Shane Beamer, they do what? They add 3 more Clemson losses onto the end of the record, but outside of that, what do they lose? Oklahoma, remember, this weekend was playing potentially for a spot in the NCAA playoffs top 4.
So does he, if they win that game against Oklahoma State, does he stay there?
I doubt it. USC is going to open the wallet big time. And I got news for you, and I don't mean this to be disparaging to any Oklahoma fans that are out there. But if you had the option to live in LA or Norman, Oklahoma, the majority of us are taking sunny California.
For weather reasons, yes, but for taxes reasons, I don't know.
When you're getting paid Lincoln Riley at USC money, you ain't all that worried about it. You're not. I don't know if Oklahoma has a state income tax, but you ain't all that worried about it. You're still going to be just fine. Just fine.
It's definitely, I don't know that that's a lateral move. Isn't it it's a step down going to USC right now.
I would argue it's a lateral move because if you talk
for yes, but for relevancy.
Well, if Lincoln Riley puts USC where they were in the middle Pete Carroll era, then USC is a top flight job. If Lincoln Riley, the thing is, Lincoln Riley's taking the prospect of what USC could be over the definite of what Oklahoma is, right? Oklahoma is Oklahoma. They are at a ceiling right now. Their ceiling is playoff 4. If he can do what he did at Oklahoma at USC and work them back into the playoff 4, USC is a job that recruits itself, all right? Recruiting's not hard at USC when they are at the top. When USC is at the top, kids want to flock to LA, dude. It's real simple. It's sunny. The girls are hot. The campus is beautiful. And USC fans are every bit as passionate as fans anywhere else in the country when the team's good. So if Lincoln Riley does his job and USC finds its way back to the Matt Leinart era, the Reggie Bush era, the Lendale White era, USC is one of the best 2 or 3 jobs in the country, period. The only reason it's not right now is because they sucked for so long. Lincoln's gambling on himself and nobody else. If he does his job, USC is an easy job to run if you're good at it.
Who's back first, USC or Florida?
Well, I mean, USC's got the proven commodity in Lincoln Riley. Billy Napier's a prospect. So I'm going to say USC. And keep in mind, USC gets to play through the Pac-12, which is bad. Florida still has Alabama, Georgia. I suspect LSU won't be down for too long. Auburn, who's gotten better, even if they choked it away the last couple of games. Texture says, LA is a crime-ridden blank hole. I personally would never live there, but also USC at its current stage is a downgrade for sure. I've been to LA. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. I know it gets a rap because it gets caught up in one of those political fights. LA is beautiful. It's an incredible place. If you're a 19-year-old college dude, you can do way worse than Los Angeles, I promise you. All right? Is USC a downgrade from Oklahoma today? Yes. But Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops made OU what it is. Well, Bob Stoops made it there, and then Lincoln Riley has kept it in that same spot. If Lincoln Riley does at SC what he did in Norman, SC becomes a top 3 job in the country point blank. Now, to circle this all the way back around.
I'll say, and if he doesn't, then it was Stoops that did it in the first place and not him. And
Sure.
he just, yeah.
Hey, I gotta tell you, if USC put enough on the table to get him out of Oklahoma, he can coach there 3 years, take the buyout, live the rest of his life comfortable AF, as the kids say. All right. Now back to Shane Beamer. Would Shane Beamer take the job at Oklahoma? He said all the things during the Virginia Tech situation that would make you think no. Right? There are some people. I don't know if Shane Beamer is or isn't. There are some people who would rather build their own thing up from the ground than walk into a kingdom that's already established. They take pride in building something up from the ground and turning it into something that everybody else wants to be a part of, which is what he has to do at South Carolina. But then there are a lot of people who would look and go, the recruiting pipeline is fertile in Oklahoma. It is going to pay more. The castle is already built, and I get to decorate it. It's Bob's castle, but I get to decorate it. Worth a shot. So I don't know. I don't know if Shane Beamer takes the phone call or if he just tells him outright no. But here's what I do know. Shane Beamer's got a press conference this afternoon. And I got to imagine that there is a reporter somewhere, Corey Diaz of the Greenville News. We'll ask him coming up in just a minute. That's going to ask Shane Beamer to his face, will you take the call from Oklahoma? And you'll know. Because he answered the Virginia Tech question really, really stubbornly. No, I'm not going anywhere. If he comes out about the Oklahoma job and says, nope, I'm staying here, I'll believe him. If he's wishy-washy about this job, you'll have your answer. Speaking of Corey Diaz, he's going to be joining us here in about, we'll call it 14 minutes or so. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about what Clemson did against South Carolina next. Then Corey Diaz, NFL in the last hour. We're going to be busy. Y'all stick around. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Lights.
The Upstate's favorite Christmas tradition is on, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 2021 Upstate Holiday Light Show. 32 million plus lights will set the sky ablaze above the Greenville Pickens Speedway. You, very simply, take your car, drive the track, park and enjoy the lights. The show lasts 30 minutes. You can spend as much time as you want looking at the enormous Christmas tree and all of the lights centered around it. There are small carnival rides. There is a farm and exotic animal exhibit. There is a drive-through petting zoo. They are open, rain or shine, 7 days a week from now through the end of the year. It is the Upstate's favorite holiday tradition. Check them out online at upstateholidaylightshow.com. Go there now. You can get your tickets. You can get the Fast Pass. That way you don't have to wait in line. Grab the family. Grab some hot chocolate. Grab some, what do you call them? Candy canes. Throw them in the back of the car and check out the Upstate Holiday Light Show happening now at the Greenville Pickens Speedway. It's the 2021 Upstate Holiday Light Show.
Grab some of them, what do you call them? Them there candy canes. Yeah.
I forgot the word for candy canes.
You can hook a nostril with one of them. Do you like candy canes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hot chocolate and just swirl your candy cane in it so it melts. Oh, it's good stuff.
I don't believe I've ever did that before.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of goes against the cinnamon thing that you're talking about.
No, I don't have a problem with cinnamon.
All right.
I have a problem with cinnamon in my whiskey.
And this is peppermint, not cinnamon. So I do like candy canes, but I like the Starburst candy canes because they come in different flavors.
Josh said, Randy. Woo! My man brought a take. Let's see. It's useless not how a stadium gets sold out every game. Series isn't competitive. Notre Dame did it with Michigan. Take a break until the Gamecocks can make it competitive again. Furthermore, like I tell my wife, my son are Clemson fans, that school is bad. Primes, are you okay, buddy? Are you good? Just kind of trailed off at the end there.
From the sound of rain falling on leaves to bedtime sleep stories, Calm puts me to sleep within minutes, which means I wake up ready for any challenge, because greatness lies on the other side of sleep.
For 40% off a Calm premium subscription, go to calm.com.
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about?
.com/LJ.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. Yeah, that's better. Big news. The new
I don't, but that doesn't mean that other people don't. You sure you don't want to talk about it on the air?
Okay, I'm missing. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera with 50% off a new system.
Well, apparently he was well liked. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. Doesn't mean it's out of the realm of possibility. That's a great question. I don't think it's going to happen. So, I don't know. All right. Well, I think Beamer's going to be there a couple more years. We'll see. All right. All right, I'll do that. Thank you. All right, bye.
Interesting.
Well, would I do my normal call screening because we're on camera? So if you are watching, don't call to talk to me. Call to go on the air. Okay.
All right, we got a couple of texts in. Our buddy Diddy, who sat in last week for the great one. Thanks to Diddy, who did a hell of a job, and we appreciate him as always. He said, this rumor worries me a lot more than Virginia Tech, but after he doubled down on the dream job and has probably been recruiting on that platform, wouldn't this do massive damage to his genuine good guy brand and make him seem untrustworthy to recruits? Maybe. But I think if you're pitching for Oklahoma, you can go say, hey, yes, I said all that and it was true, but Oklahoma, look at what we are here. Look at who we are. Look at what we can do. And a kid that's trying to decide, is Shane the guy I want to play for or not, who likes Oklahoma, isn't going to be worried about it, I don't think.
It really comes down to, and a caller just kind of alluded to this, Why would Oklahoma want Beamer? I mean, you pointed out all the reasons to warrant them bringing him there, and I don't think that he has.
I don't think he has either. However, here's what I would say about it. Who else is out there that's an established coach that Oklahoma that fits Oklahoma's tier right now on the pecking order? Who else? Right? This year we're going to have a lot of open jobs and we're very thin. I mean, like right now, the top names that are out there right now, like the Billy Napiers of the world, they got their jobs. They're set in. Who's left?
To that end, if Beamer were to leave, and again, I don't believe it will happen, who would South Carolina get? And South Carolina's got to look the same crop of coaches that Oklahoma's looking at and going, there's nobody out there. Do they offer to give Beamer an extension already or something to get him to stay there?
So who would South Carolina look at? Like, that's a good question, right? Because I'm looking up a number of the names that are still considered the top coaching candidates that are either available or might be available, right? Is Mario Cristobal leaving Oregon for USC? No. Would he leave him for Oklahoma? Maybe. Josh Heupel at Tennessee. Is he leaving Tennessee to come to South Carolina and stay in the same division? No. Is Brent Venables going from Clemson over to South Carolina? Probably not, right? I don't think so. Who's there? Who's available? Mark Stoops? You getting Mark Stoops in?
I think he put Venables. If he was going to take the job, if he was even considered for the job, he probably would have gotten it ahead of Beamer.
Sure. So who's out there? Dave Aranda at Baylor, is he coming to SC? He's expected to sign an extension with Baylor in the next couple of days. That could just be a bargaining chip down the road. Mark Stoops. I gotta think Bob's brother's probably in line for the Oklahoma job. He's done a great job at Kentucky. Is South Carolina a big enough step up for him to leave Kentucky? I don't think so. Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. He's been kind of in that shame thing of like, I'm here to make this program the program I want it to be. It's going to take an Oklahoma-sized job to get him out of Cincinnati.
Hey, Luke is right where he needs to be, especially if Michigan were to lose to Iowa.
Yeah, in the playoffs?
Then yeah, they're not coming out. They're sticking in the top four for sure. And why would you go anywhere else after you just did that with Cincinnati?
Well, to make it easier to get there. But, again, it's going to take an Oklahoma job, and USC's not on the level with Oklahoma. Lane Kiffin's not coming to SC. Cliff Kingsbury's not coming to SC. He's on the list for a couple of jobs. He ain't leaving Arizona, though, because he's doing great. I don't know why he's listed. But
yeah, I keep seeing Kingsbury for Oklahoma. But when I think of him, I just think of draft and him in that big
the pimp house.
Yeah. Why would you leave that?
And the American Psycho house. Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Is he leaving Iowa State for South Carolina? You know what I mean? Like, this is it's a tough call. It's a tough call. You got.
It's weird you said Venables.
You got to hope Beamer's telling the truth.
And now he's trending. That's just weird.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to be mentioned a lot. He's going to be mentioned. He's going to be a head coach somewhere next year. I have no doubt. Especially considering the defense is the only part of Clemson that has been consistent from start to finish. Texture says ESPN Mark Stoops will be the next Oklahoma coach. Probably. I'll say maybe, not probably.
Well, if you had to pick between him and Beamer, who would you pick?
Probably Mark Stoops.
Right.
He's done more. He's proven himself at Kentucky. If you're going family connection, Bob Stoops is just as good as one as Frank Beamer is, right? Texture says ESPN hot take calling Brent Venables to Oklahoma. The prodigal son returns. Maybe he'll be in consideration. I have no doubt. If Beamer goes to OU, then he will be competing against Bama, A&M, LSU, Texas, and the rest of the SEC West in like 2 years. Stay with the Gamecocks. I mean, you're still competing with the SEC East is not as good, although Georgia, the best team in the country, is in it. Florida's a question mark. It's going to take a couple of years for them to get it together too. I agree, but you got a valid point. I don't know, man. Does he go? We're going to find out. We'll ask Corey Diaz about it when we come back here in just a minute. Corey Diaz of the Greenville News, Gamecock beat reporter, joins us next right here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Sugar-free breakfast biscuits are loaded with a fresh cracked egg, cheese, and your choice of bacon or sausage. And right now at Wendy's, they're only $1 each.
I need a phone number.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Hopefully you stream. Oh man.
You've been off a little bit too, haven't you? Wednesday was last time you were here.
Yeah, well, Thursday, Friday. But I didn't freaking stop all 4 days, so.
That's what happens when you're a young man living on the edge.
Living on the edge.
Whereas I'm a grandpa enjoying the warm fire. Hey, Corey, it's Alonzo, ESPN Upstate. I am good. How are you? Absolutely. Rob's got all kinds of fun questions to ask you. I cannot wait to hear how you answer them. They are. They are. Hang on and you'll get to hear them. Hold on. All right, we're getting close to damp underwear heat in here, and I don't like that. I don't like that.
Gross.
I also don't like turning that fan on because you can hear it on the air. Big time. I don't know which way to turn that dial. I'll probably turn it the wrong way and make it like 10 degrees warmer in here on the air. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
QC in the next break.
At 1:35 on Mondays, we head down to the Cola, Columbia, South Carolina, home of the Gamecocks of South Carolina. And welcome in a young man who has become a tour de force covering the athletic department over there. He writes for the Greenville News and joins us now. He is Mr. Corey Diaz here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Corey, long weekend, buddy. How we feeling?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. How are you guys up there?
Oh, it's another damn paradise, buddy. We had 4 days off to eat too much, relax, attend some football games. Granted, they did not go the way the Gamecocks wanted them to, but college football was damn good this weekend, Corey. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Look, I was in the press box at Williams-Brice watching the what ended up being the quadruple overtime Iron Bowl, sweating bullets. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? I mean, just about every other rivalry game. I mean, you go back to the Michigan-Ohio State game in the morning on Saturday. I mean, that was must-watch TV. If anyone didn't watch that game, I feel sorry for you. That was one of the best games all day long. And then the Iron Bowl follows that. And unfortunately, the South Carolina-Clemson game didn't really follow suit with the trend of the rest of the games of the day. But all in all, man, I don't think there's, for the casual college football fan, I don't think they have any complaints after this past Saturday.
No, not at all. Gamecocks fans have complaints, though. So here was my take on the game, Corey Diaz, and I want you to respond to it. Frustrated. And not at the L, all right? Clemson has a superior roster. They've got better players. They've got experienced coaches who have been in bigger games and done this before. I am not shocked that they lost the game. What I am shocked by, Corey, is that team did not have At least it didn't feel to me like they had the same fight they had against Auburn a week before, the same fight they had at Willie B against Florida 3 weeks before that. It felt like that team just did not have the energy, the enthusiasm that they had in their last 2 home games, and that's what disappointed me the most.
Rob, I could see that. I think, when you think back, South Carolina wins the coin toss, and there was a little bit of discussion before the game on Saturday night about the coin toss. Sometimes I guess us, writers, we just think about the weirdest things sometimes. But, we had a little bit of a discussion about, hey, let's say South Carolina wins the coin toss. What do you think they'll do? Will they defer and get the ball to start the second half? Or will they try to get their offense out there and see if, they can, right from the jump of the game, go out there and try to create some momentum offensively? Because we all knew that if there was any part of this team that was going to need something positive to happen very early in the game, it was going to be the offensive side of the ball. So South Carolina wins the coin toss, and they decided to defer, giving Clemson the ball to start the game. And, of course, we all remember what happened. Clemson just marched down the field and scored on that opening drive. And, from the energy, the enthusiasm, the raucousness around and outside of the football stadium on Saturday afternoon, I remember parking in the media lot and walking up to the football stadium, and far and away the most traffic that I had hit coming in for a football game this year, and just so many, garnet and black, gear walking up, and everyone just excited. You could just feel it, for all that excitement, pre-game, pre-kickoff, and then, Clemson within 5 minutes gets points on the board. You almost could kind of hear the wind, come out of the sail a little bit. Now, if the defense goes out there and forces a punt on that first drive from Clemson, would South Carolina would have ended up winning the game? Probably not, but I think it would have created a different, more motivated group than what we ended up seeing for the remainder of the 55 minutes of that game after Clemson scored on that first drive. So I kind of agree with you, Rob, and I think part of this too is right. Really the last 3 games leading up to this Clemson game was you want to talk about emotional instability. You drummed Florida 3 weeks ago and you got the emotional high off that, and then you go on the road and you're playing in Columbia, Missouri, and it's cold and it's snowing and it's a team that everyone thought you were going to beat, and you lay an egg up there and you're coming back with a loss, and then you're down 2 touchdowns to Auburn in the second quarter, and you come back and win that game, another team that a lot of people didn't give you a chance against. And so it's been an emotional roller coaster this last month of the year for South Carolina. And obviously they've rewarded themselves with a bowl game for the first time in 3 years. But, from an emotional standpoint, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that all those players were just spent.
And maybe that's the case, but it's not an excuse that a lot of teams accept, right? Like, you're not going to be cool with it. Clemson had I don't want to say as difficult of a schedule as South Carolina did, but they were up for that game and South Carolina wasn't. I heard the press conference after the game where Shane effectively apologized, because you're right, Willie B was as electric of a football stadium as I've been in a very long time. He spent a week asking the fans to show up and show out. They did, and the football team forgot to. But have you gotten a chance to hear from Shane since the post-game press conference? And if so, what did he say? And if not, what do you expect him to say?
No, and let me say this to you, Rob. I am in no way, going to bat for, how South Carolina performed on Saturday night. Look, I don't have a dog in the fight. You win by 30, you lose by 30. Makes no difference to me either way. I just report what I see and just report what I know. And we have not had an opportunity to talk to Shane after Saturday night. He woke up Sunday morning, man, and hit the road, for the first time. And let's see, I want to say first time since maybe December of 2019, coaches are allowed to make in-person contact with recruits in their homes. So yesterday, Shane was visiting recruits inside their homes. And so, and he's on the road today. The rest of the staff is on the road. They're on the road this week recruiting. So we hadn't had a chance to talk to him. I think the next time we'll get a chance will be Sunday after bowl selection show. But I anticipate him, just continuing to, obviously thank the fans, because again, like you said, Rob, I mean, it was, pre-game, man, it was electric. It was exciting. Just the energy was palpable, inside Williams-Brice, and unfortunately the team played flat and looked flat, and didn't give the home fans much to cheer for. And I think, for this team, going forward, it's going to be highly beneficial for them to get these next, 3+ weeks of practice, man. A lot of young guys on this team, and, it's more time out there trying to get good on good during practice and get those guys ready for, spring practice and next football season. I mean, it's the amount of experience that this is going to provide a lot of the younger players for South Carolina is going to be invaluable. When you talk about, trying to build, a football team that's competitive and not only just an SEC conference, but really in any conference. I mean, you almost can't substitute what bowl practice can do for a team like this. This program hasn't had this in 3 years, and so if you can get a little bit of a jump start on that, I think that's huge, and I think that'll be one of the big talking points for Shane moving forward. Is look, we're recruiting. We're about to bring in hopefully probably 20 signees in the early signing period in the middle of December, and we're going to be able to not only sign a bunch of young good players, but we're also preparing our already young good players on our team for future success. So it'll be a lot of the same stuff that we've heard, man. I don't think we'll see a different Shane Beamer after the in the weeks, days, and hours after the loss to Clemson. I think he'll be the same guy that we've seen so far.
So as far as the fans go, right? Like, I want to take this in two chunks, both from the fans in the program. And we'll start with the program since you had just talked about it. You talked about early signing period coming up just down the corner from here. South Carolina, for what I've seen in a lot of the composites, are around the number 21 or 22 recruiting class in the country, which I got to tell you, I got to be borderline happy with, right? Like, you'd like to jump that up to maybe 12, 11, somewhere in that range. But for coming off of a 2-win season last year with question marks about this year, to have a class that's around number 20, 21, 22, I think is an accomplishment for Shane Beamer. How is he attacking making sure that recruiting ranking stays in that ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, I think it starts with, his tireless pursuit. One thing that I have observed about Shane in my, first football season on this beat and around him, is that, he's always, and I think you and I, Rob, we've talked a little bit about this before. He never shies away from the moment, when the spotlight is on, whether it's him or whether it's the, South Carolina football program as a whole. He never shies away from trying to recruit particular kids, even in that moment. I mean, there was a game earlier this football season, I believe it was the Troy game, Oscar Delp's in the stands, and what do you know, the first 12 plays of the game, I think 6 of them went to the tight end. I mean, it's weird little nuances like that a lot of people don't think about. But Shane's, at least from what I've observed, is innovative enough to use those moments, those little moments that you might not see it coming, but he's using it as a recruiting tool, as a recruiting pitch to get kids, to the South Carolina football program. And again, just with them being, borderline top 20 recruiting class several months ago, and I think I went back and looked at, how Will did, while he was here in his 4 years. And I don't think he sniffed the top 20, with any recruiting class that he had at South Carolina. So, I mean, this is far and away, when you think about what Shane had to come in and clean up, he's obviously getting off to a good start as it pertains to, drawing that level of talent that you need in your program to be able to, remove yourself from lower second tier SEC East Division program to, potentially challenge to get into the top tier, with 8, 9, 10 wins a year, by having those kind of kids.
Talking to Corey Diaz, who is a beat writer covering the Gamecocks athletic department for the Greenville News. All right, we got a couple of minutes left, Corey, and obviously the news that broke a little earlier today, if you can call it news, some people call it speculation. I'm good with it being called speculation, but 24/7 Sports is reporting that Shane Beamer is going to be considered a prime candidate by the University of Oklahoma for their job. Of course, he was there 3 years before he ended up in South Carolina. He was the associate head coach there. A lot of folks thought that Oklahoma may have been, kind of grooming him. If Lincoln Riley ever did take off, he has. And now the rumors are that Oklahoma might place a phone call to Columbia to see if they can bring Shane Beamer back to Oklahoma. Has anyone asked Shane this question to his face yet to ask him to address it? And B, what's your auto reaction to that?
Well, again, to the first part of your question there, Rob, is, again, he's see, this is what I guess this is what you have to love most, right, about the coaching carousel season, right? It's that, some media outlet throws the coach's name out there, or, somebody that's, says they have quote unquote sources, throws the coach's name out there. Meanwhile, like, Shane Beamer's probably sitting on some kid's couch right now, like, talking to him and his parents about, hey, why don't you come play for South Carolina? Like, this is the weirdest but most intriguing thing about this part of the year in the sport of college football. So we haven't had an opportunity to, toss this question to Shane to get him on the record saying something, obviously along the lines of what he said about the Virginia Tech opening a couple of weeks ago. I would imagine him to say a lot of the same things that he did say about Virginia Tech when asked about this coming weekend. But I mean, if it's Oklahoma, right, and the phone rings, you're obviously going to listen. And from a monetary standpoint, there's going to be, the coffers there are just almost they just indefinitely go down, right? I mean, the money is never going to dry up there. So obviously Shane would probably be in line to make a hell of a lot more money than what he is now at $2.75 million a year at South Carolina. But I don't know, man. It's hard to kind of speculate right now whether or not he would leave South Carolina after 1 year, take the head coaching job at Oklahoma. Obviously, is it more of a perennial power? For sure. Is it more of a recognizable nationwide brand? 100%. But in every interaction that we've had with Shane, as it pertains to him being in Columbia, his family being here, how much the university and the football program means to him, everything along those lines. He's always painted this picture of, this is where he wants to be. So obviously he will be asked about this, whether it's me or one of my fellow, beat buddies. But we will ask Shane and we'll get him to give some form of an answer on the record and obviously go from there. But at this point, after 1 year, getting this team that in my eyes was a 4-win team coming in based on the talent level on this roster, overachieving that, getting wins over a Florida team, an Auburn team, getting to bowl eligibility in his first year, just a lot of major accomplishments, a lot of things to hang your hat on, a lot of things to be proud of. I just have a hard time at this point seeing him leave South Carolina to take another job. But weirder things have happened. Obviously, Lincoln Riley leaving himself, to me, was was a huge bomb in the sport of college football this year, as we literally just entered into the offseason, 4 minutes ago, and he's leaving to take the USC job. So, obviously crazy things happen in this sport all the time. This is why we all love it. So I guess maybe we should all just buckle our seatbelts and enjoy this ride.
Yes, indeed. That is Corey Diaz. He is the beat reporter for the Greenville News covering the South Carolina Gamecocks. Joins us every Monday here on the Rob Brown Show. Hey, big dog. Appreciate you as always, Corey. We will talk again next week as we start getting ready for a bowl.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all soon, man.
All right, big dog. That's Corey Diaz from the Greenville. Okay.
All right, quickly, we have breaking news. Christian McCaffrey is out for the season.
There you go. Season's over, boys. Pack it up. The Panthers are done. After that performance against Miami and Run CMC being done for the year, the Panthers' playoff hopes, bye-bye. Talk about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
So on Saturday, I went down to Willie B. I was hanging out in South Carolina, and we tailgated a lot from like 1 until like way into the night, letting the traffic go. We had a great time. And then I woke up on Sunday, and I'm just like, my freaking knee, man, because I stood up for too many minutes in a day. That's how it happens. When you age, you start to lose that connective tissue in your joints. And once you do, you get inflammation, that pain kicks up, and it can not only impact what you're doing at the time, but it can also impact your day-to-day because you're worried about it. Oh, how can I do this to minimize the joint pain? Well, here's step one. Call my friends at QC Kinetics at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show, get a free consultation, and when you do, you're going to find out that you may not need that surgery that everybody tells you to get. They have regenerative reconstructive therapy that does not involve drugs, steroids, or time out. You go in, you get the therapy, you're back to your day-to-day life. It's just that simple. But you got to see my friends. Go to QCkinetics.com, QCKINETIX.com, or again, give them a buzz at 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that consultation for free and learn how you can feel better, faster, naturally, and without surgery with my friends at QC Kinetics.
The holiday spirit, so we're not doing that last minute thing. Where do I score some tickets? Just go to upstatelights.com. We should all go together.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is going on now at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Twice the animals and the carnival rides are back. Upstatelights.com.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One with a preview of Monday Night Football with the Washington football team hosting Seattle. Washington has won 2 consecutive games, including an impressive win at the Panthers last week. Seattle looking to get back in the win column after back-to-back losses following Russell Wilson's return from finger surgery. Join Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and me for all the action on Monday Night Football.
Tonight at 7:30, the NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Get help managing your money for the life and years ahead. With Fidelity Income Planning, we'll look at what you've saved, what you'll need, and build a straightforward plan to generate income, even when you're not working. A plan that gives you the chance to grow your savings and create cash flow that lasts. Plus, you can start, stop, or adjust your plan at any time without the unnecessary fees. Talk to us today so we can help you go from saving to living. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE SIPC.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials: a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized cash rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more-reward and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
On the 106.3 WORD weather center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Mostly sunny skies here this afternoon with a high around 52. Tonight mostly clear and a low near 33.
You're right, Stephen. And now I'm no longer in the corner.
Wednesday sunny high around 64. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Uchinsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently it's 49.
Want to know the sneaky way to get the perfect gift this holiday season? Just tiptoe into your loved one's closet and look at their shoe sizes. Then head to Skechers and make this holiday the most comfortable ever. Because at Skechers, we have ultra comfy, ultra affordable shoes you can buy everybody you know. Let's start with the kids. We have shoes that
Yeah, nothing says, hey, we're not going to win the rest of the year. Like, you know what? You're done, Christian.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
unless that test, but like, They said the initial tests were negative, so unless they came back with something more serious that they missed.
Looking to see anything else.
And in a fit you're sure to love. Relaxed fit, wide fit, arch fit, and so many more. Skechers are the fit specialists. So this year, deck the feet with super comfortable Skechers.
Christian McCaffrey going on IR with an ankle injury. He will have missed 23 of 33 games since the Panthers made him the highest paid running back in the NFL history.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up.
Now, will they decide to release Cam Newton? It wouldn't shock me.
Run CMC done for the year. Still waiting on more of a breakdown as to why. We saw he was hurt yesterday in the game against Miami. What was the was that set? 23 of 33? Is that what you said, Zoe? It's 23, 22, 23 of 33. Since Carolina made Christian McCaffrey the highest paid running back in the National Football League.
No, I was gonna. You asked me the question after I've already cleared that. It's 23 of 33.
Since Run CMC has been made the highest paid running back in the National Football League, Christian McCaffrey has missed 23 of 33 games with injury. 23 of 33. I got to tell you, that's going to come back to bite you. I said it when it happened. I'm going to say it again. I know he's the best in the league. I know you want to have that prowess. Of course you do. But done for the year. Done for the year. It is what it is. You know who else is done for the year? Carolina Panthers. Lonzo just said, I wonder if they release Cam Newton now. I mean, after yesterday, pay a lot less to PJ Walker.
You're shutting things down. Shut him down.
Shut him down, yeah. You ain't wrong. All right, 1 hour left. We'll hit it next on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
Oh, crud.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. It was statistically the worst performance of Cam Newton's career as the Carolina Panthers lose to the Miami Dolphins 33-10 on Sunday. Cam, 5 of 21, 92 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was lifted for PJ Walker in the fourth quarter, although Cam is expected to remain the starter for the Panthers moving forward. The team also losing running back Christian McCaffrey, hurt again. He rolls his ankle in the first half and did not play in the second half. The Panthers are going into a bye week. They'll play again when they match up against Atlanta on December 12th. Speaking of the Falcons, they do win on Sunday against the Jaguars, 21-14. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
I will tell you the one thing that's frustrated me about Tim Tebow. And I'm not saying this is you. I'm speaking as somebody who used to broadcast down in the Tebow hood in the Sunshine State of the FLA. Tebow doesn't crack the starting rotation for the New York Jets. And the phone call that I got a dozen times and a dozen times more, Lonzo, was they're only keeping Tebow down because they don't like him and his message. Yeah, definitely not because an NFL team is like, hey, let's make ourselves worse at football so that this guy can't wear eye black with Bible verses on it. That was the goal. That's what the Jets thought. Let's keep him on the sideline and be worse for it so that we don't have to look at him, I guess. It's a silly thing.
I am not saying that if you're anti-Tebow, you're in league with Satan. You may be. You might be. I mean, that's up to you. That's on you and your soul.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate.
This is Green County Sheriff of Fort Lewis. No upstate child should have Christmas without presents under the tree. Donate a toy during the Leo Sanatory Drive. Stop by the Bond Secure Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville December the 8th and 9th. Or Greenville County Law Enforcement will be on hand accepting toys and donations. Plus, see special team demonstrations by tactical teams and our K-9 patrol unit. Help an underprivileged child. For information, go to leosanta.com.
Presented by Rob Inario, attorney at law, 864-CALL ROB.
With special thanks to Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union, TLC Motors, and Harley Davidson of Greenville. Thanks from ESPN Upstate. Warning.
And check this out.
We're unofficial Brown unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah. Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you back along for the ride. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app. AUDACY. Put it on all your digital devices and don't miss a minute of the award-winning broadcasting that is the Rob Brown Show, the award-winning broadcasting that is Offsides with Mark Ryan, or any other compelling content we have for you right here on ESPN Upstate. We have talked quite extensively about the Clemson, South Carolina game. From a South Carolina perspective, we had Corey Diaz, and thanks to him, the beat reporter for the Gamecocks at the Greenville News. Now we flip it over and we look at this 30-0 beatdown from the other side of the coin. That would be the Clemson Tigers. Look, they did what we expected them to do. DJ Uiagalelei was 9 of 19 for 99 yards and an interception. All right. What did they do correctly? What did I say when Clemson beat Florida State? Who was the MVP? Will Shipley. 19 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Touchdown number 2, added by Kobe Pace. 7 carries for 58 yards. Dude averaged 8.3 yards per carry. And Phil Moff rounded it out. 11 totes for 43 and a touchdown as well. DJ had 5 for 33. Darian Rencher pitched in 1 for 3 yards as well. The passing game was not there. For the Clemson Tigers, but they didn't need it to be. Been telling y'all since week 7, you're a running team now. You don't have to like it, but you do have to accept it. You are a running team now. It's just what you are. That's just what you are. And they showed it once again against South Carolina. They tucked the ball into the gut. They toted it behind a decent offensive line. But a decent offensive line that just dominated South Carolina's defensive line. Clemson dominated in the trenches on both sides of the football. I mean, they dominated on both sides of the football. In every conceivable aspect of the game, they were better. They repeatedly flipped the field with special teams. Offensively, they ran it right down the throat of the Gamecocks. 265 yards on 43 rushes. Lonzo, they averaged 6.2 yards per carry. You're thrilled if your team averages 3.75 or 4. They averaged 6.2. All 3 touchdowns came on the ground.
That's like a first down every second carry.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is what it is. You're right. You're a running team. You're a running team.
And it is what you're expected to do when you have that much talent going up against a team that does not.
100%.
They should have scored more, though. If they were better, they would have scored more.
Didn't need to. They dominated it from start to finish.
I will tell you, and this may have something to do with the rivalry having lessened a great deal. In years past, if they were capable of putting it on the Gamecocks, they would have. Trust me, I was live somewhere during doing a remote during one of the biggest beatdowns of Clemson over Carolina, and had Clemson fans just walking up after every touchdown smiling at me as I sat there in Gamecock colors. So I've seen a beatdown before. And in years past, you're making it sound like they backed off. They didn't back off. They were capable of putting up 30. In years past, it would have been 60, it would have been 70, who knows, maybe even 100. And there would have been no backing off because you don't back off.
I mean, I don't know. They dominated that game. They got a bowl game to get ready for. I think you can I think you can put a boot on the throat and then walk away with the same message sent as if you kicked him in the head.
Yeah, but see, I disagree because I've seen what Dabo has done in the past, and that's what you should do to your rival. If you can do more, you
Drop
do more.
63 on him.
Absolutely, and I think that's all they were capable of. I mean, good. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do, but last year it would have been a lot more than that. The year before, it would have been so ugly.
I don't think it's all that hot of a take to say the Tigers this year aren't as good as the Tigers of last year or the year before or the year before or the year before or the year before or the year before.
Right. So,
That's
if you're a Clemson fan, quit acting like you did such a great thing. You beat a team you were supposed to beat and didn't do it as well as you could have.
We also shut them out for the first time since 1989, right?
But as we talked about, I think in the first hour, there could have been 3 points on the board if Beamer wanted to. So it's just the shutout was allowed. And if that was Spurrier, there would have been 3 points on the board. If that was any other coach, there would have been 3 points on the board. It's not high class. It's your rival. You should have put those 3 points on the board.
Yeah, all right. I'm good with it. All I'm going to say is this.
I'm not. Yeah, you still lose by point.
They really didn't show up. But look, I mean, here's the thing. What did we say going into last week? If the Clemson that played Wake shows up, they win no matter what. Carolina can throw the best game they've had all year. If the Clemson that showed up against Wake Forest shows up against Carolina, they win that game. And that's what happened. That's what happened. It didn't matter if Carolina played better than they did against Florida. They still lose that game.
If the South Carolina team that showed up against Auburn, that showed up against Florida, showed up against Clemson, there might have been some points on the board.
Sure. I guess
there might have been some effort. There might have been some, wow, is Will Muschamp coaching this team? We might not have thought that.
I'm again, the biggest takeaway I had from that game was that Clemson did the things that Clemson needed to do, right? South Carolina didn't show up. This was the game to bring your best fight, and you didn't. Clemson, on the other hand, brought exactly what they brought, the best that they had brought it all year long. And they curb stomped Carolina. It was not a contest. I mean, maybe I could have justified. Also, keep in mind, with Clemson being
maybe
a running
an
team,
angle slam, maybe a Samoan drop. I wouldn't go curb stomp, though.
This is more like American History X curb stomp than it is Seth Rollins curb stomp, like a genuine curb stomp. Clemson's a running team, all right? Look at the numbers we just read you just a second ago. 99 rushing yards for DJ on 9 of 19 through the air. Shipley, $128 on the ground, 58 for Kobe Pace, 43 for Phil Moffitt, 33 for DJ Uyunglele. 265. They're a running team. Running teams don't put 50 on the board at any level. Running teams don't put 50 on the board. Running teams throw up 35s and they own the time of possession. Let's see, what was the time of possession on this game? Let's see if I find it. It's actually better than I thought. 31 minutes, 35 seconds for Clemson, 28-25 for South Carolina. It's actually better than I thought it was going to be. But keep in mind, a lot of that possession for South Carolina was late in the line early in the game when Clemson was trying to throw the ball. And Carolina was still trying to push and run. I would have guessed it was more going to be like 37-23.
Yeah, if you look at time of possession and you don't look at score, you would think this was a pretty even game. Because obviously Carolina spent some time on the field with some long drives. You don't get 30 minutes without having some long drives.
Yeah. Texter says, Lonzo, for 2 hours, we have heard nothing but Gamecock talk. Give us Clemson fans the 5 minutes of good talk that we get on this show.
Hey, I just came back. I'm having fun. If I can refrain. No, I can't.
No, I can't.
No, I can't.
Clemson did what Clemson needed. Clemson did what I expected them to do, right? I wonder if Clemson season's different if they find out back in week 3, oh, we're a running team. We're not. And this is what I said at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but that would imply that they haven't been a running team before. Etienne was pretty good.
No, I think it would. They still were to run a team. They were Trevor Lawrence's team, and then also they had a really good running back in Travis Etienne, no doubt. And I think that's been the case consistently. This year, it should have been from the beginning. It should have been a massive dose of Will Shipley, a healthy dose of Kobe Pace, a healthy dose of Phil Maffa, some design runs for DJ, and we'll sprinkle in some over-the-top passes here and there to keep the defense honest. Don't start putting 8 in the box because we're going to beat you over the top. We can still do that.
So you are with the other people who blame it on the offensive coordinator for the struggles that Clemson has had this year, and that he's never been that good, but it's been masked by the talent of the quarterback.
I don't think that's an unfair statement, honestly. I mean, we wonder what's going to happen the first time that Clemson hits on a quarterback that's not a Heisman finalist. We just didn't think that DJ Uiagalelei was the guy that wasn't going to do it, right? We all thought that DJ was just going to be the next in line, the heir apparent to the Trevor / forgetting everybody's names, but the quarterback Deshaun throne, right? Like we thought that was going to be the case, and he wasn't. So we asked, what's going to happen? Well, now you know the answer. Now you know the answer. The play calling has been questionable. This team needed to recognize back in week 4 that they're a run first, throw second team. Go get your 265 and 30 points on the ground per game and win them all. Took them too long to realize that. By the time they did, they had a couple of losses under the belt.
Is it a realization, though? Because we'll find out when we figure out who they're playing in the bowl. I don't know who they're projected to play, but will they run the ball against that team, whoever it is? Or will they come out and play like they've tried to play the entire season?
I'm intrigued to see what happens next year, right? Like, where does Clemson go from here next year? Do you make great changes? Do you revert the offense to a running attack, or do you try to dive right back into what you were? We'll see. Here's what I do know. That game Saturday was the most important game for Clemson and South Carolina. Ordinarily, it's the third most important game for the Clemson Tigers, right? It's ordinarily, or at least the last few years, it has been the third most important, maybe the fourth.
For the team, not for the fans.
For the team.
Yeah.
For the team, it's been the fourth most important game. With the ACC championship third, the playoff second, and the national championship first, if they made it. This year, it was the most important game for both Clemson and South Carolina teams. Clemson showed up. They did what they do, and they dominated. That's it. It doesn't help that Carolina just forgot to show up entirely. But Clemson could have showed up, gotten put off by the moment. That stadium was loud, Jack. Carolina fans were out. That stadium was loud. Clemson could have easily got lost in the moment, fallen out, been nervous, been apprehensive, and screwed the pooch. They did not. They stared Willie B in the face and brought everything they needed to bring. It's that simple. That simple. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. We'll talk more about this. I want your thoughts. Clemson fans, Carolina fans, your reaction to the Palmetto Bowl. I suspect that most of the South Carolina fans are currently hiding under their bed, ignoring the show to the best of their ability. The few of you that will answer for your team, phone lines are open at 864-448-3772. We're back after this. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. It's ESPN Upstate. Don't hate that game.
Yeah, but you're not running against Wisconsin like that.
That's all they do is run. It's just gonna be that's gonna be a Big Ten game. It's just gonna be slug it out.
My point is that Wisconsin's used to going up against offenses that run the ball.
True.
They have that projected for the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte.
And many more. Shoes truly are the new toys this holiday. And how about for mom, dad, and even the grandparents? We've got boots, sneakers, slip-ons, shoes for working out, for going out, and so much more. Plus, they come with Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam for ultimate comfort. And in a fit you're sure to love. Relaxed fit, wide fit, arch fit, and so many more. Skechers are the fit specialists. So this year, deck the feet with super comfortable Skechers. Just sneak into their closet, get their shoe sizes, and let Skechers do our holiday magic. Find Skechers at Skechers.com, at a Skechers store near you, or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Suffering from junk sleep? The sleep experts at Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Cyber Week sale and save up to $500 on a king bed for a queen price or a queen for a twin. Plus, pair the mattress of your dreams with a free adjustable base with qualifying purchase.
We're trophy hosts. Sorry, trophy winning hosts.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob. He is Lonzo. A couple of texts that have come in. Text says, is Christian McCaffrey more injury prone than Saquon Barkley? I mean, at this point, Christian McCaffrey's more injury prone than most players, right? 23 of 33 games he has missed since he signed that contract. And I told you when he came back this year, don't overuse him. The dude clearly has limited tread on the tires. Don't overuse him. And I'm not saying Carolina did overuse him, but I'm saying the injury bug seems to strike often and hard for the Panthers. I don't know if it's bad trainers or bad luck or some combination of the both.
I was going to say, who do you blame for that? I mean, I think it's a little bit of maybe him being injury prone and maybe they played him too soon. But, you know, they had a chance. They were still in the playoff hunt. I can understand why they wanted, and I'm sure he wanted to play.
I'm sure he did. And I'm sure considering the dude's face of the franchise, you didn't want to look him in the face and say no. Sometimes you got to do it knowing it's what's in his best interest, even if he disagrees. I was worried you brought the guy back too fast. I'm not even saying that you did bring him back too fast. I'm saying that's certainly what it looks like. I'm saying the dude racked up another injury. I'm saying he's shut down for the year now on IR. And I'm saying the Panthers are done. Right? Like he's one of those guys that can make or break. You lost to Miami. And they've won 4 in a row. But they've been 3 okay wins, and now you.
Well, Warren Sapp just tweeted something. Running backs making at least $12.5 million annually. $16 million. Christian McCaffrey, injured. $15 million, Kamara, injured.
Yep.
$15 million, Zeke, injured.
Yep.
12.6, Cook, injured. 12.5, Henry, injured.
Yep.
So that, I believe, are the best running backs in all of
the running back.
And they're all hurt.
Yeah. Running back is not a spot to put money into, unfortunately. I know you want to have a great one.
By the way, Zeke is still playing, but he's hurt.
And Kamara's probably coming back. Well, if they played Sunday, he's probably back. I don't know if he's back for Thursday against Dallas. But Dallas having a COVID outbreak, though. Mike McCarthy's got COVID. He is out. There are potentially more coaches and a couple of players that might come down the line. Dallas is going to go into New Orleans on Thursday night at a disadvantage.
As a New Orleans fan, are you okay with that victory?
No, we're still going to lose.
You're still going to
lose. Not worried about it at all. They're going to beat us. They're going to beat us half-assed. They're going to beat us.
You got Trevor Siemian, though. I mean.
Well, now I feel better. Taysom Hill might start on Thursday, and I'm not kidding. Like, Taysom Hill might be the better option at this point than Trevor Siemian. Saints are 0-4 with Trevor Siemian at the helm. You make the switch. You have to.
If he's healthy, yeah, absolutely. Especially if he was actually in contention for the starting job at the beginning of the year.
He wasn't. I don't care who says he was.
Yeah, but the coaches
and they were
said,
right. Say whatever they want. They were trying to keep him happy. Which, by the way, Tay just signed like a 4-year extension with the Saints, right? So he's not unhappy. But Jameis was clearly the starter.
Come in a couple plays, play some special teams, have a little fun, go sit back down,
play
make
wide
a
receiver,
lot of money.
Rack you up a couple of 24-yard catches just to keep it spicy. He is what he is. Anyway. Texture says, running games with great defenses crush teams with no quarterbacks. Until Carolina gets a quarterback at least competent like Garcia or Petty, the Gamecocks will lose nearly every game they fall behind by more than 10 points. Clemson got spoiled with NFL quarterbacks. It doesn't take much of a drop off in quarterback play to get crushed in most SEC games.
Why don't you give Connor Shaw some love, man?
Yeah, and Connor.
I mean, come on. Let's throw Connor Shaw in there. Arguably the best quarterback of all time for South Carolina. Come on.
If they can run the ball like this, it'll help them either get DJ more comfortable or breaking Clement by not asking the quarterback to do too much. Yeah, I mean, like almost every football coach in history is going to tell you, run the ball, and then pass. Unless you got a Breeze or a Brady, yeah, you run the ball until you know you've opened up the field for a pass. That's how you do it. It's the only way to do it. So we'll see if that changes up. Texas says the ESPN Panthers are in trouble. Limited draft capital in the upcoming draft with only one pick in the top 100 with countless free agents. Yeah, I agree. The Panthers may have very well.
Do you trade Sam Darnold, though, for some linemen?
Yeah, I'll trade anybody for some linemen.
Yeah, I mean.
This whole season's different if you have an offensive line. We got one offensive lineman, maybe two, that are worth some salt. One, maybe two. But you're right. They got very little money. They got so much money wrapped up in a contract with the running back who has missed all but 10 games in the past 2 seasons. Right? I doubt you're bringing Cam back. Like I said when they signed Cam, I'm like, all right, now you got to let this guy retire a Panther. Now you got to give him a contract till he retires. And now I'm like, nah, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you run PJ out there because you got to nickel and dime everywhere you can to try to have some OL building money because your OL's garbage. We'll ask Rashad Beard about that coming up on Thursday at 1 o'clock for our weekly Panther segment with him. I don't know, man. Carolina's just in trouble, right? Cam was supposed to be the spark plug. He was supposed to give you a little electricity. And God, did he look awful. Granted, he's running for his life, right? I try to have some nuance when I talk quarterbacks. See the old phrase, quarterbacks get too much of the credit when things go right and too much of the blame when things go wrong. Yes, he looked bad. One of those picks he threw was inexcusable. But when you sign a guy to bring some life, when you sign a guy to bring some electricity and some energy onto your roster, don't be shocked when he tries to force plays. Don't be shocked when he tries to do too much at the position.
Well, PJ came in and added a spark until
he didn't.
Till he decided to throw it to the other team, if I recall.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring in a guy to be the spark. When you say we are signing you to give us some life, don't be expected when that guy YOLOs into some mistakes.
So trade all your quarterbacks you have right now for one, maybe two good linemen,
or just a left tackle,
and just bring Jake Delhomme out of the booth for the rest of the games. The season's over anyway. Just bring him out. He'll be all right. He can hand the ball off.
Texas says, so we're just going to ignore the U of SC fans' classlessness on chanting F Dabo before the game. I mean, yeah, it's not like it's a bad look. And I've seen it happen at 1,000 football stadiums.
You're right, because, you know, that kind of thing would never happen at Clemson. Well, they wouldn't say that to Dabo. But, you know, He's from the same people who threatened to throw my baby daughter off the top of the stadium because I didn't stand up and do that CLEM. Oh, what's the next letter? SON chant. So yeah, there's class for sure.
I've only been to one Clemson game. It was the Clemson FSU game earlier this year, and I was in the press box, so I did not I have not been around the Clemson fandom in mass to go, oh, you guys are definitely above that.
I just also want to say that, crowds in general have been classless everywhere because that word has made its way, talking about a ton of different people, and it's making its way on the air, and there's no way for those on College Game Day. They just they find no way. There was a time when people just wouldn't do that, and that time has passed apparently.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into some weird stuff now. I think I'm going to use this word loosely, the power of that word, right? Like the offensiveness in that word. Younger people don't find it offensive. Like, we don't care.
Well, looking over and seeing their parents chant it probably take some dirtiness away from it, I suppose.
Like I can tell friends of mine blank you, and we laugh, right? Because like that word we have taken to older generations. Yes, that word has a lot of offensiveness to, a lot of power to it, and I don't think it does amongst the next generation. To us, it's just a word. We don't care. It's just a word.
And for Texers who are saying that Lonzo should have been born in the 50s, yes, I should have. I'd have been a rock star.
In the 50s?
Yes. Hair slicked back. It'll be
baby.
Yeah.
I have you.
Ooh, going to Buddy Holly.
Baby. That's right.
I wouldn't have been a cricket.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, you're right. It's not a good look. All right, it's not a good look. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I also will tell you that the next generation of kids, and this is one of those get off my lawn moments. Like, the next generation of kids, that word doesn't mean to them what it meant to you. It doesn't have the same power.
Well,
it's not as offensive as it was to you.
Here's my hope is that it, and I hate to say this, it becomes commonplace to the point that it is now, that it's no longer cool to use it.
Maybe. I mean, again, it's just another word to us. It's just to like the people my age and younger. It's just another word.
Well, we'll say it now.
No, because I like my job.
And that's the only point I want to make.
Yeah, I like my job. I'm not saying it has no power.
Okay.
I'm saying that now. I'll say this: if you catch me in a bar at 11:30 shooting pool, you're gonna hear me drop some words I'm not gonna drop because the FCC ain't in the bar that late. But
allegedly, they could be there. They probably drink too.
Right. Like, if you catch me in a bar, heck, if you catch me in the boss's office with no mics around, we all say some stuff we wouldn't say on the air, right?
I think you really need to understand that every office is bugged, but
Oh, they're setting me up.
Yeah, there is that. There is that, including ours, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think the next generation cares about that word. Like, to them, it's just a word. Like,
you know who I blame? I blame AEW.
You hater. It would be the same as chanting like, "Go away, Dabo," to them. Like, it's got the same amount of power. It's just a thing, right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it is to the next generation of kids.
Well, I hope Dabo's offended that they're using that kind of language.
Yeah. Texter says blank off is one of my daily used words.
I feel bad for the people.
I see, and I guess that's the thing. Like, all right, whatever. I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. Like, it's just a word. It's got no power unless you let it have power.
I would say, Texter, be more kind, be more gentle, be more understanding, offer hugs.
Blank you. Now give me a hug. Do it that way.
Well, that sounds like an HR violation.
Texter said, the rule for stadiums is the higher up you go, the less class the fans have. Also, night games bring out the worst in everyone.
So this implies that with money comes class, and that's not true, because the lower you go, the more money people have to be able to afford those tickets. I don't. So where's the line? Where do I need to sit next time? What row do I go? Okay.
Texter says, Lonzo, Texter didn't mention Connor Shaw because he said decent quarterback, not great quarterback.
Great point. Good point. Noted. Good job.
Texas says, what about Dabo to Oklahoma? Nah, I think Dabo's okay. I think he's set, right? Like, Dabo's not going to get paid more by Clemson than he is, or more by Oklahoma than is at Clemson. The recruiting's not going to be better at Oklahoma than it is for Clemson today. Now, South Carolina makes its way back, it might.
When you have a bad season like they had and people are not calling for his job that I've seen.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere. Now, Shane, the more I look at Shane, the more I think about this situation with Shane, the more I can tell you if Shane took that job, I would understand it. I would understand it. You might not like it, but I would understand it. The good news for South Carolina, if there is any, is that if Shane leaves for Oklahoma, it doesn't really set you back all that far, right? Like, he's not 3 or 4 recruiting classes deep.
If he leaves, then he's not the good guy he's portrayed himself to be, and I hope he loses all his games.
Can we just be real? Can we stop with these some coaches are good guys and some aren't? They're all hired guns, guy. They're all hired guns. The only ones who aren't leaving for another school are the ones at cream of the crop schools already.
You can be a hired gun and be a good guy. Clint Eastwood in most of his movies.
You a good guy, Lonzo? You a good guy?
I don't know.
I'm going to walk your way out of that one. I'm a good guy. I think I'm loyal. I think I'm dedicated. I think I'm a good guy.
All right, Rob, I am not the man that I should be. I strive daily to be that person, and sometimes I go places verbally that I shouldn't go. I say things I shouldn't say.
He cusses like a sailor in the office.
I do not. Don't do that.
Like a sailor.
I do not.
A drunk sailor.
I do not. Sometimes my dark humor gets me in trouble.
Like a drunk sailor who just found out that the ship's sinking.
All right. So out of the things that you said that have offended me, that's one of the worst ones. Because
I've been here 2 years. I have not heard Lonzo say a single dirty word.
I know how arrogant this sounds, but I'm
above that.
No,
I'm better than you, Rob.
Well, that's not it. I dare to be different. That's what it is.
I'm just digging my hole with Lonzo.
You imply that there would be vengeance involved, and no.
I believe you said something before the show about a Nerf wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, watch your chair, though. You tend to sit down.
No, listen, college football coaches are mercenaries. They're hired guns. All right. Very, 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 very rarely are you going to get a guy who goes, I want to coach at my alma mater and I don't care about the money. Nope. Not a thing. Not how that works. All right. The only guys who aren't going to leave their school to go to a bigger school, and I want it on the record. Look at Lincoln Riley, right? Lincoln Riley was OU's guy. Always said he was OU's guy. Love this school. Never want to go anywhere else. Till USC opened up that purse and said, take as much as you want, big fella. And all of a sudden, he's gone. Because that's a higher tier school to coach at when they are good.
That was a shock, but it's Lincoln Riley. He is one of the top coaches, been one of the top coaches in college football for the last few years. So, of course, he would be sought after. No offense, Shane Beamer, but you're not Lincoln Riley.
Right. I agree. Is OU a better job than South Carolina right now, Lonzo?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Will OU pay Shane Beamer more than South Carolina, Lonzo?
Yes.
There's your entire qualification right there. That's all it is. It's a better job, and it pays more. It just is what it is. And when I say more, I mean like a lot more. All right? Like a hefty raise. It is what it is. Texture says, do we have contract details on the Riley to USC contract? Nope, but I guarantee you it's more than Oklahoma was paying him. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Texture says Napier to Oklahoma. Hey, you're a little late. You're a little late. Watch him ditch Florida after 3 days of being the head coach.
You act like that hasn't happened before.
So what was somebody just got Bobby Petrino'd?
Or Belichick. I mean, I know it's the NFL, but still, same thing. I mean, you know.
Texas says, I dare to be different, so I try to curse more than any other human on the planet daily.
That's not being different. That's being one of the lemmings
All
that
right.
you're.
Text line's out of control. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got one more segment, then Twitter to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff in over 250 local branches. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Charmin, we heard you should have talked about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided
Joe B, that is the most accurate description of the situation that I've yet to hear. Good call. Good call.
By the way, it's taking me on average like 10 minutes to beat a dragon right now.
So they scale up, right? So here's my thing.
At one point, 2 come out instead of 1.
Yeah.
Because I've had some higher characters before, and it's not high one. It's 2 high class dragons.
So I've trained my guy up in one-handed. I'm level 13, but my two-handed is like at 54 right now. And I thought about switching and going back to two-handed. But I'm wondering because my two-handed is at like 14. Like, have I scaled up my character too high to start using two-handed?
I don't know. It depends on who you're fighting. I mean, low-level bandits should help you scale it up quicker. That's my problem. I've done what I do all the time and work on smithing and other things, which will build your character up. But I'm not. So you're scaling up and everything's scaling up with you, but your attacks are not.
Yeah.
I'm working on that now.
I forgot that the shops take time to regenerate their gold. So I sold like 40 iron daggers to a guy the other day just to get rid of them, and then tried to sell him other stuff, and he was out of gold. And I'm like, yeah, come on. All right, heading towards the end of the show. Texter says shocking part about Lincoln Riley is that he didn't go pro. As far as college jobs go, USC is effectively the top tier. Again, I know because it's been a while since USC has been appearing in, national championships and New Year's 6 games. That doesn't feel that way.
I would say top tier in name recognition. I wouldn't say top tier as far as
when USC is good. If it's not the best job in the country, it's top 2 or 3.
I agree, but when's the last time that was good?
Right, but that's why USC went for the home run hire, right? Like that's why they brought Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma, because they don't want to bring a Billy Napier style prospect out and wait another 4 or 5 years. USC is swinging for the fence right now. They're going for it now because it's also a job with a very fickle fan base. LA is the most fickle sports town in America. When LA teams are good, those people will show out and pack a stadium. But when they're anything less than top tier, they stop showing up. Look at the Lakers and the Clippers. Towards the end of Kobe's run, when the Lakers were good, the Staples Center was all purple and gold. Then the Lakers had a couple of bad years, and the Clippers got good, and all of a sudden you couldn't find a Lakers fan on TV. They were all Clippers fans. Even the celebrities that were always decked out in purple and yellow on TV, all of a sudden they were in blue and white for the Clips. USC recognizes that the longer it is before they're good again, the harder it will be to get everybody back in. So they swung for a home run immediately. Oklahoma with Shane Beamer is not swinging for a home run. They're swinging for consistency. And they believe that would be consistent. Joe B just popped up on the Facebook chat. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, or The Rob Brown Show, or Lonzo on Word, and search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Joe said, as far as Shane Beamer leaving South Carolina to head to Oklahoma, he said, quote, for Shane, this isn't leaving your new wife for the woman next door. This is leaving your new wife for a supermodel. Will it work out long term? Probably not, but you'll get to live the high life for a while. That's a solid, we compared everything to relationships in this job, and that's a spot-on accurate one. Virginia Tech was leaving your new wife for the girl next door that you grew up with, but she's just kind of plain Jane. Leaving South Carolina for Oklahoma is leaving your new wife for Giselle. She's got all the looks. She's got all the money. Your life is going to be way easier. And even though it might only be for a couple of years, or maybe it works out. Maybe you and Giselle hit it off and you're happy forever. But even if it's only for 3 or 4 years, you ain't spending a dime. You are racking the bank account up and you got the best life in the world. Maybe you got to go back to your new wife at some point down the line. But a handful of years with a supermodel is not a bad look. That is why, and I think Joe said this earlier as well, and I'll agree with it. South Carolina fans will be furious if Shane Beamer leaves the Gamecocks for Oklahoma. Those of us that do not have a South Carolina connection would understand and would support that decision. Sucks for the Gamecocks fans, but if Shane went to Oklahoma, if they offered him the job, that would be a good decision for him. For him, not for you, but for him. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. It's a good decision for his wallet. It's a good decision for his career. That would be a good decision for him.
It's another one of those cases where each year there's a list of whenever a job opening is there, well, this person might get it, this person. What is the list this year? Is there one of candidates that whenever a job comes open, you think it's one of these 5 guys?
Mario Cristobal at Oregon's on that list. Dave Aranda from Baylor's on that list. I'd say Brent Venables is probably on that list. I would say Napier was on that list. I think Jamie Chadwell might be on that list. Might. He'd have had a better crack at it if he'd have taken off last off season. But I think Chadwell's on that list. And after that, you got a bunch of guys that are kind of unproven that somebody's got to take a flyer on, take a gamble on.
Would you, if you were a team, go after Urban Meyer?
No, but that's a personal decision.
I know. I get that.
No, I don't want him. I don't want him connected to my squad at all.
Even though
because he wouldn't bring you a championship or two, but because what he would leave in his wake.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking at what you got now and thinking of what the wake of him leaving would leave, you might be willing to risk it.
Yeah. You're not wrong. But the Jags have played a little better in the last month. Not great, but they lost to Atlanta. But a little better.
Atlanta's playing mildly optimistic too.
Mildly optimistic, I would say. Twitter is up next. We'll hit it hard when we come back. My name is Rob. He's Lonzo. This is ESPN Upstate.
What is that?
It looks like a
a bagel or I think it's a bagel.
Smashed avocado and tomato bagel. That's what it looks like. I'm just glad Kellerman got his own show and he's really hammering the hard topics here,
That's what you come to expect from him.
It's one thing to have a food conversation, but
that looks appetizing. I'm you wouldn't eat that? I would eat.
Nah. I'm not an avocado guy.
You don't like the guac?
I don't. I mean, if it's on a taco, I'll eat the taco.
So now I know. Turn that dial to the left. That's what you did.
Yes.
You turned the dial to the left. So when I come in here tomorrow to set things up, if it feels warm, I'll just go ahead and do that. Although that make it like an ice box in here by the time we get in here? Because it's taken it a little bit, but now it's almost starting to get cold.
Small packages, they say, especially if it comes from Scatel's Jewelers, a local tradition for over 25 years. And as a thank you, the entire store is now 25% off. Scatel's provides a large selection with the lowest prices guaranteed, with free financing and payments as low as $49 a month, backed by a lifetime warranty. Details at scatelsjewelers.com or in Spartanburg on East Blackstock Road. Scatel her, you love her. With Scatel's Jewelers.
You know, Kevin, we got all week to do that.
Do what?
Predictions on Georgia Bama.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll give them now. Georgia wins.
Agreed.
My prediction is Georgia's going to be the number one team in the country after the SEC game.
And probably after the season is over.
Yeah.
But if Bama loses, who makes it in? It's going to be fun. Hard to believe college football season's over.
Right?
Well, pretty quick. Well,
about to hit the college basketball season running.
I think with as slow as last year went because of everything that was going on, it just double timed it this year. So glad Kansas City didn't play yesterday. So it would have been rough to have 4 teams lose.
Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
Progressive wants your pets to be their best selves, so we covered it in our auto policy, and we created this Something Permanent series just for them.
You are lying paws up on the sofa. A human caresses the itchy spot behind your left ear as another human lets yours rest. Your ancestors are wolves.
Get coverage for your pets with an auto policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage for cats and dogs included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Wow. You know, I made it all day without making a mistake until my foot got wrapped up in my cord. And, you know, I still was able to, what? What are you going with 2 for?
Did you push and not talk? Is that the mistake you made?
No.
Or you just got tripped up in your own wire.
I was explaining, that I got tripped up in my own wire, which happens to you daily multiple times.
It literally just happened to me on my chair.
So. But it got stuck on my foot and then got tangled in my hair. So that was. But you know, I didn't have to tell anybody because no one would have known. Time for Twitter trending topics. First time I've got to do this in a while. The first thing that's trending is Tom Holland.
Tom Holland is trending because earlier today it broke. I think this is why. Earlier today it broke that Sony has announced that their deal with Marvel will continue for potentially 3 more movies. The assumption is that 1, if not more of those, will be yet another Spider-Man movie, and that means that Tom Holland will continue in the role as Spider-Man moving forward, which is good. I think he's done a great job.
See, and I am seeing that is why it's trending that it's going to be 3 Spider-Man movies. And the question is, will Tom Holland be like 50-something years old when he's done playing this role? And will he still look like he does now?
You know what? Convert him into what Peter Parker B was in Into the Spider-Verse. Just let him, you know what I mean? Like put him through the meat grinder.
Without the tragedy.
Miles Morales.
No,
give me the tragedy. You can have some tragedy in the MCU. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
we lost a character not too long ago.
Yes, we've lost a couple characters actually. So yeah, but still, that's why I'm pretty excited about that because he was putting things out there like he was done. He was talking about the next Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff. And maybe he meant the next Spider-Man a decade from
Or
now.
he's just gotten so busted for screwing things up that he just made up this own fake backstory in his head about what was going to happen to convince or to not let him reveal any more spoilers.
Or they told him, hey, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've been negotiating with his management. He just didn't know. They just didn't tell him. All right, is Jack Dorsey.
Stepped down from Twitter earlier today, from what I understand, which is interesting. I do not know why.
I don't know why either.
I don't know what the reason. Jack Dorsey has been kind of the guy that's run Twitter really since its inception, but he submitted his resignation earlier today. Again, I am not really sure. I don't know why. I don't know if there's
usually when that happens, there are lawsuits involved or something like it. Sometimes we'll see. Maybe he just stepped down because he was done.
Yeah, maybe he just wants to go follow Guns N' Roses around for a year or two. Who knows?
Who doesn't want to do that? Exactly. All right. The next thing is trending is Ric Flair.
Woo.
That was half-hearted, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of why he's trending. I got nothing.
All right.
His birthday? Does he have COVID? Did he die? It's one of those three.
He's still alive.
Okay.
It's not his birthday. He doesn't have COVID, as far as I know. But he has said recently, and it's trending. One of the reasons it's trending is he will never go back to the WWE, which has speculation out there that he will be signing with AEW soon.
He has made a lot. He has tweeted at a few AEW wrestlers in the past couple of weeks. I can't remember who it was, but one where he, it was, I think it was CM Punk. He tweeted at Punk. It was like, we made history once, we could do it again. He tweeted at, or Instagrammed at Sammy Guevara at one point earlier too. He said, I'm going to die at some point, and it's either going to be next to my hot wife or in the ring with Sammy Guevara. So I don't
see him back in the ring ever again.
I have zero interest in seeing Ric Flair wrestle. If he wants to sign on as Ric Flair dastardly manager, just kind of be the anti-Arn Anderson, I'm here for it. But I don't need to see Ric Flair wrestle anymore.
Yeah, me either.
Ever. At all.
Yeah.
Period.
By the way, we'll probably talk about this Thursday, but did you see the promo off between CM Punk and MJF?
I literally last week from Tuesday till this morning have not stopped. So I got Dynamite, Rampage, SmackDown.
You need to watch Raw. You need to, because they're coming like in 2 months.
Okay.
So you be up
just
up
caught
to
up
date.
so when they get here.
Yeah.
I got Hawkeye, I got Dynamite, I got Rampage, I got SmackDown, I've got what else? Something else dropped
Beatles.
this weekend too. The Beatles documentary.
The other documentary you were telling me about.
The End of the Canyon, or what is it? Sounds of Echoes in the Canyon documentary on Netflix, which tells a story of a Southern California community back in the 60s, 70s, when the Eagles were there and some of the Beatles were there and just all these musicians were there. So I got plenty to watch.
All right, one last thing that is trending. Joe Brady is trending.
Joe Brady is going to be considered for some of these college jobs. In fact, you know who else I saw that LSU is reaching out to for the LSU job? Matt Rule. Rumors that Matt Rule is going to be pursued heavily by LSU, partially to give him the head coaching job and partially to get him to bring Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator back to Baton Rouge, where he made his money before he went to Carolina. And I got to tell you, if you're Matt Rule, you're thinking about it, aren't you? You're thinking about it. You want to go home to college football, don't you? It's the NFL thing not going the way you thought it was. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next with Offsides. Thank you guys so much for spending your day with us. We'll be back tomorrow to do it again and better. Have a good rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I am Rob. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.